This is Rugby Radio with Stuart Cameron. Brought to you by Borders College.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio, which comes to you live from Millbrae this afternoon. We're here for the 3 o'clock kickoff between AYR and Melrose at the top of National 1. AYR unbeaten this season after 11 games. Full live commentary with Dale Clancy and Robbie Purdie coming up. We'll also be covering the 2 o'clock games as well, keeping you up to date with the latest scores as they happen. There's been a few postponements as well, as you can imagine, with the cold snap overnight. But as we're here, we'll be talking to a couple of key people at AYR Rugby Club about the exciting plans for the future and the structure of one of the most successful clubs in Scotland. We've also got a chat with Richie Gray, the collision king himself. He's coached Scotland, Fiji and the Springboks and is now the go-to man for World Rugby when they need an expert on the contact area and safety in the game. So stay tuned with us right the way through until 5 o'clock. And let's begin with a look at the games being played today across the country, starting in the Premiership. And Robbie Purdie has joined me now. 2 games kicking off at 2 o'clock from the 5. Well, there were to be 2. There's now actually 1. Let's talk about the one that's off first of all, which is Glasgow Hawks against Kelso.
Yeah, it's a shame, actually, and completely understandable. Of course, it's probably been a bit colder than we expected, but yeah, it's a shame because I thought, as I mentioned in the preview show, that game had a good look about it. It was a tough one to call. Kelso had beaten the Hawks down at Poynter earlier in the season, but it's a different proposition going to Balgrey, and yeah, Kelso needed to win to maintain any hope of a 4th place finish. So yeah, it's a shame that one's off.
But it is, so we're not going to talk about it anymore today. Heriots Blues, though, that is on against Curry, a big Edinburgh clash there.
It is, and I think Hoyk will be hoping that their friends at Heriots can do them a bit of a favour there, because that's not, and it's another game that's not an easy one to call. Curry made, on the face of it, pretty light work of Heriots at Milani earlier in the season, but I don't feel that Curry have got quite as strong a look about them as they had last season. And yeah, that's going to be a tricky game for Curry at Golden Acre today, and should be a good game, that.
Then we have 3 kicking off at 3, and that's they're all going ahead. Hoyk against Embrakis, Musselburgh versus Jed Forest for the Bill McLaren Shield, that one, and Selkirk against Mar. Let's talk about the Hoyk Embrakis one, because we'll be hearing from Alan Lorimer a little bit later on. He's up there at Mansfield Park at the moment, so we'll be bringing him in shortly. But Hoyk against Embrakis, again, we're into the 49th month being undefeated at that venue.
It's quite remarkable. It really is a fortress at Mansfield Park there, and yeah, again, sort of top of the, or upper echelons of the Premiership, the clash. This one, Edinburgh's, I think, are sitting in 4th at the moment, but they're going to do, they've got work on their hands if they're going to finish there this season. Again, just another team that probably not quite as strong as they were last season on the face of it, and yeah, you struggle to see anything other than the home win there today, Stuart.
And of course, Musselburgh against Jed Forest, we were discussing all the permutations of what could possibly happen. And if Jed did sneak a win, they would get the old Bill McLaren Shield. How about that?
Yeah, it's not 100% beyond the realms of possibility. I think most people will have that as a kind of home win, if you like, on the metaphorical coupon. Today, Jed, of course, are struggling. Their problems are reasonably well documented, and I don't think it's been the happiest of hunting grounds for them in recent seasons up there at Musselburgh as well. So, yeah, you're kind of hard pushed to see anything other than the home win there today.
Selkirk Mar, though, now that is one that you would actually put down as a guarantee. For any of them.
No, that's right. This, I think this has got the look of it. From a Mar perspective, this has got the look of a banana skin about it today, and I maybe wouldn't have said that 2-3 weeks ago, but Selkirk have just hit a wee bit of a purple patch, a couple of bonus point wins, and a very unforeseen, I think it's fair to say, couple of bonus points garnered at Milani a couple of weeks ago against Curry. So I think Selkirk will be going into this in good fettle. I seen it mentioned the game could be won or lost at 8, 9 and 10. Couple of youngsters in the Selkirk ranks in those fairly key positions, whereas Mar have probably got 3 other top operators in those 3 key positions, so that might swing it in the visitors' favour. But yeah, good looking game again at Philip Hall this afternoon.
International 1, we've lost a couple of games. GHK against Highland is off, and Biggar against Gala, and I'm not surprised. We drove through Biggar, it was -5, there was no way that was going to melt in time for the match, so we've lost those 2, but we do still have 3, including of course AYR against Melrose, more on that in a second. But GHA versus Glasgow Accies kicks off at 2 o'clock, and Watsonians against Dundee at 3.
Yeah, GHA v Glasgow Accies. I think I noticed on social media there's a big lunch planned there. That's a big derby there. No love lost there between the kind of FP teams. Accies will be, Accies have probably surprised a few people this season, having come up from the division below, and should be a good occasion as well as a good game there this afternoon.
International 2, and at the moment everything's going ahead. There was going to be no match for Laswade Enry because they've had that game in hand with Stirling County, but Falkirk against Stumel, that's at 2 o'clock. Gordonians against Newton Stewart, also 2 o'clock, and then we've got Kirkcaldy versus Berwick and Peebles against Aberdeen Grammar, both kicking off at 3 o'clock today.
Peebles, looking at them first of all, they'll be hoping for let's be honest, they need 5 points from a game like this against Aberdeen, who are pretty much at the foot of the table, if Peebles are going to maintain their title push and their promotion push. But they've got a game in hand, they're right where they need to be, assuming they pick up those 5 points today.
Well, in National 3, nothing today. It's one of their day offs. They chose a good one to have no rugby. I can tell you that Garnock are going to be unbeaten at the end of the day today because their match is off. Garnock against North Berwick in Division 4, which leaves just 2 at the moment on: Strathmore versus Perthshire and White Craigs against Dunfermline. Well, joining me at the back of the stand here is a gentleman that I spoke to on Tuesday. I was down there at the Green Yards, and of course it's Iain Chisholm. Iain, long journey in it, 2.5 hours.
We were no long off travelling away up to Highland, so we were all right there. We had to pick up a couple of passengers on the way, but look, good trip.
And you're all in good spirits.
Great spirits.
Yeah, you've been inspecting the pitch. There's a bit of a frosty pitch in front of us, but nothing to worry about, really, is there?
Yeah, some of the boys were reminiscing about the time.
No,
the time the AYR came down and then pulled the plug 2 minutes before kick-off. So
you're not planning this, I hope.
No, well, Goose was saying on the way up, what if they're about to do that to us? What if they get us up there and it's frozen? We gone all the way back down, but no, look, it's just crispy up on top. It'll be fine once we've had a bit of boots run over the top of it.
Now, Grant Anderson I'll be talking to very shortly. He's going to be popping up, head coach. He respects you incredibly well, and as you do with him as well. There's always this thing in the background, though, when we look at AYR and we look at Melrose, 2 teams with great history on and off the park, and but a lot of respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a lot of respect for what he's doing now. That you look at their second 15 as well. They've got 22 names on the team sheet every week, and look at AYR's a great club. It's nice to see Grant do that, and look, it's a different landscape now. It's not the Premiership anymore. It's AYR they're probably going to be promoted into the league above, but the history stays the same. A lot of these boys have been involved in games like that, so for me, we want to challenge a bit of that and make sure these boys are coming here going after things physically.
Let's start with the team news then for today, because you had a bit of a struggle getting a team together, really, for this one.
Getting props.
It's more props, isn't
getting
it?
Props, yeah.
What is the ruling on that one? Because, for anyone on the outside looking in, there are lots of rules and regulations about if you don't have enough prop cover or something, you're not allowed to bring your full 20. What is the situation?
Yeah, so we had 4 front row as of last night. We had 4 front row as of last night, and that's just where we are at the moment. We've got a lot of injuries. Will Owen went down. He's an important player for us. Ben McLean rotates out of the squad because of the Super 6 quota. So we've picked up a Melrose boy, Jake Fairley, who is currently playing uni rugby. He's a great boy. He's a great player. He's not able to commit to us just because of what he does on Saturdays through his uni course and his work. Look, it's not a bad guy to have come in, but we also needed him to unlock places 19 and 20 on the bench as well. And look, we've decided to go with Harry Makowski as first of all scrum half cover, but then he's a guy that's played 10, 15 centre wing for the Storm this season. So we're pretty happy that he's going to come in. He also played really well on the wing against GHK. Unfortunately, he just lost a bit of momentum because he went away on holiday.
Great 7 season he had, didn't he? As well. Harry,
yeah, really good.
I was very impressed with him there. So I mean, he's not a bad lad to bring off the bench today.
Yeah, no, we're chuffed with him. So the addition of Jake Fairley and Harry Mikowski into the squad it's definitely a boost for us, and it just puts a little bit less pressure on the boys that are starting. We know it's going to be a really physical game, but look, boys have to understand. Look, first 20 minutes, look, boys have got to be hurting. We've got to be carrying hard. We're going to be going after it, and if we can match AYR's aggression, physicality, then we're going to give ourselves a chance.
Now, your number 3 today, how do you pronounce his name?
Gershom McKendy.
Sorry?
Gershom McKendy.
Oh, it's not too bad. So it's
Gershom McKendy. Yeah.
Gershom McKendy.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell us about him.
Gershom's a great bloke. You'll not hear him say much. He's very social though, so
so he's the opposite of you.
He's he drinks pints. I don't. He's been great for the club. He's a great scrummager. He carries ball really well. Toronto Arrows definitely see something in him, but he's a young lad, and he's come over here for a bit of experience, and he's really bought into what we're trying to do. He hadn't left Melrose until maybe a couple of weeks ago, and he'd been here for quite a while. So Muff took him around the borders, showing him everywhere. Took him to see his racehorse and stuff like that. So he's had a good time here, and look, we're really happy to have Gersh, because otherwise we knew we were going to struggle for a tight head after losing Callum Cruikshanks, but. Look, he's a great boy, and we're chuffed to have him back in the squad this week.
Of course, Ron Moffat likes his horses, doesn't he? He owns a few, doesn't he?
None of them win, though.
No, that's the problem,
None of them
isn't
win.
it?
He only has slow horses.
Well, there's a politician down there on the side. I don't know if you can see him. Dale Clancy there. You were mentioning him earlier on there. I wonder if he'll be sitting on the fence today.
No, what's your score prediction, Dale?
Score prediction, Dale?
What's your score prediction?
38-12 to AYR.
Oh, away.
38-12 to AYR.
Honestly.
What about that?
Gutless. He's gutless.
Shocking, isn't it? Absolutely shocking. Though he's got plenty of gut there. Anyway, well, look, all the very best. We'll be talking to Grant Anderson very shortly. We wish you the best of luck,
Thanks,
and we hope it isn't 38-12.
No, me too.
There we are. That's Iain Chisholm. We're going to be talking to the other side in a second. That's Grant Anderson from AYR. We're going to get him up here and have a little chat. But first of all, let's play a little bit of music.
Gotta write a classic. Gotta write it in an attic. Babe, I'm an addict now. An addict for your love. I was a stray boy, and you was my best toy. Found it easy to annoy you, but you were different from the rest. And I loved you all the wrong ways. Now listen to my say. If it changed to another way, would the difference make it? Would it be a classic? I gotta send it right away. Gotta write a classic. Gotta write it in an attic. Babe, I'm an addict now. An addict for your love. It seems I just keep living for dreams, and it's not what I mean it's not what it seems. I just keep living for dreams. Gotta write a classic, and I'm out of control. Gotta write it in an attic.
music from Adrian Gervitz. Good to hear that one again. That is a classic from the 1970s. Well, joining me at the back of the stand now is Grant Anderson from AYR, the head coach. Things going well for you, Grant, at the moment, aren't they?
Yes, they are indeed. However, we still just take one game at a time and look at what we can improve on. We never get too far ahead of ourselves here, or certainly I don't let anybody get too far ahead of themselves. At
what point do you start getting ahead of yourself? Because you're 16 points at the top. That's a pretty good lead. And I mean, Highland have lost the last two, and that's what's really brought it into sharp focus.
Yep. I mean, I'm really big on not talking about it, especially within our kind of inner circle in the group. Don't get me wrong, after games people are letting me know, which is fine, but certainly we are only concerned with ourselves. We've been like that since day one. Obviously we've got objectives and targets that we want to try and meet. I've got a points total in mind that I haven't overly shared with anyone outside the group. So
do you want to share it now?
No, I'm not sharing it.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Have to ask.
But we deal in blocks of 4 games. So this is the first game of block 3 or 4. I can't remember. It must be 4. Yeah. So yeah, we identify that and we work towards it. But certainly I won't get ahead of myself. That's the way I played as a player. Played for many years and here and just take each game as it comes.
You're still playing though, aren't you?
Well, yes. Unfortunately, yes.
I saw you on the team sheet the other day.
Unfortunately, yes. So because we've got a coaching team in the way things are done here. That's the way we like to do it. But yeah, only when really needed. But it was actually a really enjoyable experience. I've obviously not played here in a few years, and you get a really different perspective when you're out there, especially at 10, which is where I play now. So it gave me, a bit of insight into what was going really well, but also what we could improve on. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so you're not tempted to? I mean, AYR Melrose, one of the great fixtures, isn't it?
I know.
You've had a few games there, haven't you? What were your best memories of that?
Well, it's a difficult one. I've won the league down there. I've lost the league down there. Lost the league as captain down there. There's been so many memories. It's just one. I said to the boys on Thursday night, if you cannot get yourself up for Saturday, you don't belong in our squad. So and they were all, they're like, right, okay, So that's the way we can. I'm a kind of live by the sword, die by the sword kind of guy, especially when I'm here. And that's just the way we've always been. So lots of great memories. Obviously winning. If you go into the clubhouse, there's lots of pictures in there that we enjoy. Beating Melrose. So.
Excellent. But of course, I mean, you obviously enjoy the matches, and you do keep them on the toes, don't they? Because even when you've won 50, 60 points, I've noticed you're not 100% happy all the time.
No, I'm not. And someone said, I'm not going to name anybody, but someone said, a few weeks ago, we've won 10 games and 8 of them feel like losses. Which I was pleased with, because in this day and age, I'm not wanting to give anybody a pat in the back that doesn't deserve it. We're happy with the way the results have gone, but there's lots to improve on. And I think I said to you previously, there's lots of learning to be done as well. This team's been coached by a different group previously, and they've been very good at some things. But for me, I'm trying to improve everybody by 5, maybe 10%. And if we do that collectively, then we get the results on the pitch. Every single person in that team knows that they will play a game and they could be straight back out the next game. So that really breeds competition and standards at training. Some people might argue, there's a case for, does it affect the rhythm? But for me, it doesn't. And I'm really open and honest with people about feedback. And if they disagree with my decision, then I'll sit and go through the clips with them. If they've not already had it from me, I'm quite interested and keen to see how people respond to feedback as well, especially in this day and age. Some people don't like it.
That's right, yeah.
Some people really do, which is really positive. So a lot of my decisions are based on attitude at training, application at training, impact in a game. That's the kind of 3 main factors that we look at.
And that must be one of the hardest things being a head coach, because there are so many different personalities in a squad, and some you need to cuddle them, and others you need to give them a good kick.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Gauzy would back that last comment up. I mean, I think what works for me, it was more my wife that brought this to my attention, is I'm obviously a primary teacher by day, so I'm familiar with working with lots of different people and lots of different ages and stages and needs and all the rest of it. So that probably helps. Took us a little while to work out the best way to speak to the boys, individually. I address them as a group quite sternly, because that's just my kind of personality. But what you're saying is right. Some people need an arm, some people need something else. So we'll see how it goes today, but they'll be getting something to start the game, and then I'll let them go.
But it's certainly a buzz around the place, isn't there? 11 out of 11, going for a 12 out of 12. I mean, it's. Presumably, you want to go through totally unbeaten now, don't you? That's got to be a target.
You're posing me difficult questions here. I've got internal targets that I've set for ourselves, but like I say, it's one game at a time. What I would agree with is this club means a massive amount to me in upholding the standards that I kind of set as a player when I was here, or I tried to set within those groups. That's really, really important to me. So that's probably driving what we're doing. All of that starts for me from Billy McHarg, who is behind the scenes now, but he is the focal point. He's the driving force behind this whole operation, and other people have taken some of the reins and different things like that. But to me, he is the pinnacle. So he operates a very similar way to I. So does Jock Craig, who's involved as well. So the buzz is great. We take a lot of buzz from the Bulls as well. Robbie and Pat and Fraser, who are really good friends of Craig and ours. I think that works really well because we are mates. So sometimes I'm jumping in at 10 and I'm going against the Bulls, and then Robbie will jump in, and then we're doing this, that and the next thing. And then if Pat's giving us feedback, or before the final last week, I was speaking to some of their backs about what we could look to do in the backfield. So it's a really joined up, connected pathway that we've got. And we're happy, we're pleased. It's a good group, good environment at the moment.
Well, just finally, I'm dying to know about this pitch from last week.
Oh my goodness!
You kind of twice now with your sound bites, you came up and you were talking about the pitch, and you kind of held back just at the end.
I did.
What's your true feelings?
Because I wanted to be professional. My true feelings would be, we were ready to play at Mayfield. They moved us to Morgan Rugby Club, and they moved us onto the middle pitch. So there's one, I've never been there, and two, there was a slope, and there was no point of that pitch was flat. Not 1 point. Now obviously I was playing, so I was then looking around thinking, and I spoke to the boys, this is more about mentality and this, that and the next thing, and as I was running out myself, I'm thinking, dear Lord, this is horrendous. I would say Carther in December would be 10 times better than what that pitch was.
Wow.
And if you've been to Carther, when it floods, that's saying something. It was horrendous. But actually, a lot of people, are in and around our team are saying, oh, Dundee, they're doing it deliberately, they're trying to throw you off. They were just as raging as we were.
Right.
So I think it was the school who had maybe pulled the pitch.
Right.
And because there's been a bit of amalgamation, Alan Brown was saying, he's like, we're stuck here, we're here with you. So that's why I probably held back a little in those sound bites. But I was genuinely raging because we had two boys roll ankles as a result of that. So right. Especially at Nat 1, this level, and you just can't have that. But I don't want to. You can only control the controllables, and that's what we did in that game. So
yeah, you did get 43 points anyway on it. So
well, we did, but we left a few points out there, which I showed the boys on Tuesday night. So
I bet you did. What was your worst pitch then? Is that the worst
that I've ever played on?
Yeah. Was that pretty close, or
that'd be up there. That pitch. Or
have you done Haddington at all? That's Dale Clancy's worst one.
I've never played it. Do you know? I'm actually, without sounding rude, I haven't played at too many. I've actually been really fortunate. Carther's probably right up there. Carther's horrendous. I actually fractured my spine when I was 17.
Oh, well, that would sway you a bit.
And I think Carther's decline was one of the reasons why. I think that weakened my back. But yeah, Carther would be up there. Certainly, I hate Mar as well, but I just hate Mar anyway. But Mar's pitch is horrendous. It's tiny, it's narrow, it's soggy.
I tell you, it's a good job you're not playing anymore. You'd be targeted by all these clubs.
Oh, well, nothing new there then. Nothing
anyway,
new.
All the best today with your campaign, of course, and obviously putting a Borders hat on as well. We'll probably say exactly the same to Iain Chisholm, but we'll keep it very much on the level. Hopefully, it'll be a great game, and we have a very high-scoring draw. How about that?
No problem. Okay, thanks so much.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio. If you're looking to develop or hone your green skills, look no further than Borders College, your local community college. Visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house, and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Let's dance in style, let's dance for a while. Heaven can wait, we're only watching the skies. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop the bomb or not? Let us die young or let us live forever. We don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in a sandpit, life is a short trip. The music's for the sad man. Can you imagine when this race is won? Turn our golden faces into the sun. Praising our leaders, we're getting in tune. The music's played by the madman. Forever young, I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, forever, forever young. I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever young. Some are like water, some are like the heat. Some are a melody and some are the beat. Sooner or later they all will be gone. Why don't they stay young? It's so hard to get old without a cause. I don't want to perish like a fleeing horse. Used like diamonds in the sun, and diamonds are forever. So many adventures couldn't happen today. So many songs we forgot to play. So many dreams swinging out of the blue. But let them come true. Forever young, I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, forever, forever young. I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, forever, forever young. I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live
Music from Alphaville, Forever Young. Exactly 2 o'clock, you're listening to Rugby Radio, and with me now is the Director of Rugby at AYR, and Robbie Fergusson. And Robbie, what a season it's been so far.
Yeah, it's been a good first season for me getting back involved. Like, the club obviously went well last year in National 1, and the men's team have really kicked on under Grant Anderson this year and are looking good in that National 1. As well as our ladies team are doing similar in the National 1 for the West stuff. Our youth teams, I'm watching our under-18s kick off in the Shield semi-final. Our under-16s are in the Scottish Cup semi-final tomorrow. So it's been a busy time for the club. Yeah, it's been really good.
And I mean, a real culture here, isn't there?
Yeah, that's something we're trying to breed. I think down here in the West we've kind of got a little bit of a kind of rugby bubble. It's almost similar to what you have in the Borders, but we don't have quite as many clubs, probably just ourselves, Mar and a few other clubs, and we try and really breed a bit of a rugby culture down here and what that is, and we're trying to drive that this season hard, and it's hopefully reaping its rewards.
As you mentioned, the Borders, the heartland of Scottish rugby, but I mean, out this area in the last few years, it's you've been breeding some really, really good quality players.
Yeah, we're doing our best to compete. We want to be at the forefront of Scottish rugby in the club game, as AYR, as Ayrshire Bulls, as the whole thing, and I think there's definite scope for improvement within the region, the Super Six, how that all works. But we want to kind of align ourselves to the Super Six, ourselves as an Ayrshire club, and really try and do something down here that can be positive for youth rugby, for adult rugby, for rugby in general. And you mentioned Mar, of course. Craig Redpath was there for years and years, bringing Mar right up to where it is now. I mean, 10 years ago or so, you wouldn't have thought that Mar would be competing with AYR on a level. No, absolutely not. And that's 10 years ago was my sort of school time, coming up with a lot of those boys that are still playing just now at Mar, your Bickerstaffs, Colin Sturgeon, all those boys I know very well. So Mar have done phenomenally well to get to where they are, and I think that just shows if down in this sort of region of Ayrshire, if we are positive with our rugby, we can do something and try and compete with the Borders, try and compete with Edinburgh, try and compete with Glasgow, and try and be a bit of a rugby stronghold down here. And you mentioned the Bickerstaffs and Sturgeon, all these sort of people. They're not going to be going on forever, but what is good to see is youngsters coming in, playing with the likes of Sturgeon and the Bickerstaffs, and bringing the next generation through. Oh, 100%. That's what we want here, and that's this whole model for me now coming in this year is trying to get us. We align to having a Super 6 franchise, which is brilliant. Not many clubs have that. So we want to align for our youngsters. The peak of what they want to do is to play for Scotland. Then it's obviously playing for the club team. But the way they do that is playing for Ayrshire Bulls, playing for finishing under 18s rugby right now. Want to progress to play for our first 15. Want to progress from our first 15 to the Ayrshire Bulls. Want to progress from Mar's first 15 to the Ayrshire Bulls. From the Ayrshire Bulls, they kick on to Glasgow. They kick on to Scotland and do that. And we need a bit of a conveyor belt of what that looks like for young players. So as many positive examples as we can get is what we're trying to do to show that in practice. And we hear a lot about the Millbrae way, as it's called in inverted commas. Tell us what the Millbrae way is. The Millbrae way is something that was here long before sort of me, and I've tried to bring it into action. So what we've done is, obviously I'm coaching the Ayrshire Bulls along with Pat and Fraser, who are big club men around Ayr in general, and we've basically aligned the entire club to what the Ayrshire Bulls are. If that's the pinnacle of what we can achieve as in this Ayrshire region, that should be the pinnacle. So from a calling system, from games, from everything we do is to sort of do that. And then within that, then hopefully our Ayrshire Bulls coaches, I put together some sort of coaching plan where we go out and deliver to the under-16s and the under-18s teams, along with Grant Anderson from the first 15, Craig Gosman, Dean Kelbrick, Pete McCallum, the guys that are coaching that team, and we see what there is at under-16s. We see the players at under-18s, they build a relationship with us, we build a relationship with them, and it hopefully keeps them involved in the club. And that's a large part of what it is. And then it's also the coaches of those age groups seeing how we coach, how we deliver, what we want our teams playing like, and then hopefully we see some sort of continuity between what the Ayrshire Bulls play like, what AYR plays like, what AYR under-18s play like, what AYR under-16s play like to the under-15s, and that's right through the club almost. So we see again that conveyor belt of this is how it is and this is how it works. And then, for example, on a Monday night we invite the best under-18s, under-16s players to come and train with Ayrshire Bulls, get exposure to what that feels like, and the boys essentially to meet them, and that's been really positive for us this year, getting those young boys an opportunity to do that. I think that is a great thing, isn't it? I mean, the Ayrshire Bulls there, you've got the National 1 team, and also you've got, as you say, the youngsters coming through, but they're all, it's like one club, isn't it? Yep. Rather than some other places where it's kind of, you've lost that connection. Yeah, I think connection is the biggest word you can probably say, whether that's from a supporter fan base. Like Ayr's always been very, very well supported, and to get the Ayrshire Bulls well supported, we need to reach out and we need to go and look for supporters to come from Mar, from Kilmarnock, from Dumfries, from down this way, because there's such a rugby hotbed to the south of where we are almost that's untapped, and we need to try and engage them where we can as well. Women's rugby as well, very important here. Huge. So the girls are going very, very well this year in National 1, and we want to press on to the Premiership hopefully next year. There's a few hurdles to happen before that, but the girls are doing really well. From the ladies' first team. I think we've got over 50 girls training now. We entered the Aspiring League, and I've been participating in that. And then our youth section, we've got very strong under 14s, under 15s, under 16s as well. So they're all doing well, and it's about building that sort of entire club front rather than just focusing on men's rugby, because from where I am just now playing a little bit with the Great Britain programme, we learnt a lot about the equality between the men and the women's programme and doing what that is. And women's rugby is a huge driver behind commercial, behind sponsorship, behind where the game's going to go, I think. So to get our women to the top of the game as well is a huge thing for this club.
Well, we're going to be hearing more about the future from another representative of your team, which is Brian Williamson, the chairman, a little bit later on in the programme. But for now, Robbie Fergusson, thanks so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that's Robbie from the AYR Rugby Club. More on AYR very, very shortly. Looking out there at the moment, it's absolutely gorgeous. From the stand, you've got sunshine. There's no wind at all to even think of, and certainly no rain today. A little bit of frost on the pitch, but it's nice and soft on the top. So the game definitely goes ahead at 3 o'clock. Another game which will go ahead at 3 o'clock will be in the Premiership. It's Hawick versus Edinburgh Accies at Rayburn Place, and we can talk to Matty Douglas, head coach of Hawick.
For me, these next 2 games are crucial, and it starts on Saturday back home at Mansfield. There's a performance coming. There was glimpses on Saturday. There was glimpses the week before against Mar. So look, we're continuing to work hard. We're working really hard at our attack. Defensively, we're bang on, and look, we're excited for Saturday. We get another opportunity to go out and try and put a big performance. And Accies will be looking to bounce back from their defeat on Saturday, so we need to be ready for it. We've got another strong squad to pick from. A couple of boys will be missing, either through injury or suspension, but apart from that, look, we'll be at full strength. And we've had the added bonus. Hector Patterson has been down training this week. He will come into selection process this week alongside Matt Reid, who's been playing Super Sixes in the draft. So again, we'll come into the selection process. So a lot of boys training, and we're excited for Saturday. Buzzing to get back to Mansfield, and excited to see how we go against a good Accies side.
People so busy make me feel dizzy.
2:10 is the time. You're listening to Rugby Radio, and very, very shortly we're going to be talking to Brian Williamson, who is the chairman of AYR Rugby Club. In fact, I can see him in the distance at the moment, so he's making his way up here. But first, let's hear from David Grieve. Jed Forrester playing Musselburgh today at Stony Hill. The Bill McLaren Shield is the prize for the winning team today, and if it's Jed, then they'll need to win for the first time this season. Let's have a listen to hear what he has to say.
On Saturday, we played Selkirk down at Jed. It was a game we had to win, but kind of what happened was we were second best probably all over the field, particularly in the scrum, and we just couldn't handle the driving line out. We know where we are. Although we're not mathematically down, it would take a miracle. But I can assure anyone that's interested that we are already planning for next season, and wherever we end up, we'll be in a far stronger position.
That's David Grieve, one of the three coaches at Jed Forest. Of course, Ross Goodfellow and Neil Cook also involved, so they've got a big task on their hand today at Stony Hill. Stony Hill, the home of Musselburgh. Musselburgh leaking over 50 points last weekend, so it's going to be an interesting one. And as we said, the Bill McLaren Shield is up for grabs in that one. Well, I'm joined by Brian Williamson now, who's the chairman of AYR Rugby Club. Thanks for giving us the time on what's a very, very busy day for you and the club. But first of all, you must be really excited with what's going on at the moment, because there's some really exciting developments happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the rugby where it needs to be, and obviously we've got to look at the commercial side of the club at the same time, because they really need to walk hand in hand to reach the goals that we've got.
Lots of good things happening on the pitch at the moment. Of course, the Bulls ending up in the final of the Super Series, and unbeaten, 11 out of 11, potential 12 out of 12 today. The boys limbering up already, so a great buzz around the club, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to take it a game at a time. So it's a big day today against Melrose. They always bring the goods. Going back through the years, it's always been a big campaign when they come to Millbrae, so not taking anything for granted.
How did you get involved in the club in the first place?
Well, I grew up here, come here since I was a wee lad, as many folk have in the local area, and then you go away and you do your own thing, and you find your way in the world, and you always tend to come back. So for me, when I came back, really my interest was, at that time, like many clubs up and down the country, struggling for money, struggling to upgrade facilities, and committees are looking at options, and one of the sort of options that we're looking at was to sell Millbrae and to do something elsewhere and using those funds, which I was strongly against. For me, it's hallowed turf. So I got involved to try and prove that there's a commercial case to stay here, and we could bring in new income streams to upgrade the facilities and meet our ambitions on the pitch, and that's really how I got involved.
And that brings us quite nicely into the McDonald legacy. Tell us about that, because it comes off the back of a very tragic event involving a former AYR player.
That's right. So it's actually nearly 3 years ago, I was approached by Alan McDonald. Alan McDonald owned Dawn Construction, and they had sponsored the club for many years, decades. A great support of the club, and Alan and his son Barry played here as a first 15 player. And tragically, Barry died in December 3 years ago, coming up 3 years. And I had been sort of brassing my case with Mr. McDonald for some time to try and get some money out of him to help me with my campaign to stay at Millbrae. And we hadn't got very far, to be honest. But 2 or 3 weeks after Barry died, he came to see me, said he wanted to talk, and we met up, and he just said to me, "Brian, I want to give you £1 million." Wow. I was delighted. I was thinking, a holiday in the Caribbean, maybe an extension in the house, a new car, and then he said the words for the rugby club. So that was a little disappointing. But through the next few weeks and months, 1 million became £3 million.
Gosh!
As we started to pull together a plan of what we wanted to do. It was on the back, unfortunately, of Barry dying, but I think what Alan's trying to do is something that's very positive, not just for the club, but for the whole community. We really want to open the doors and let down the drawbridge and get everybody involved up here from all sports, all backgrounds, and really make it something for the whole town.
Because community is such big for clubs, and of course AYR's a charity now, isn't it? AYR Rugby Club is a charity.
It's a charity, yeah. So to meet the McDonald legacy, the conditions, we had to restructure the club, and we we basically had to turn it into a limited company and then apply for charitable status with Oscar, which is it's a big undertaking. It's been a huge amount of work to get where we're at now. But once you become a charity, you can really start to lay out your ambitions, and you can work with other organisations more readily. So we're working very closely with other sports clubs in the town now, AYR Cricket Club, AYR United. We're reaching out to AYR Racecourse, and I think if we can all come together we can do something exponential, and that's where we can really start reaching into the community, and not just with our sporting ambitions, but also to get people involved, people from deprived backgrounds, younger people, trying to give them a positive focus. So when we do events, we invite each other to each other's events. So if you're at the rugby club, you'll get a go at football, you'll get a go at cricket, you'll get a go at whatever, basketball. We're going to get the guys down from Wasabama, which is martial arts. So if you grew up in this town, we just want you to know that if you're not succeeding at one sport or one thing, you can try other things, and hopefully that gives you a positive focus.
Absolutely. So what are the master plans, and what would you like to see in the next 3 or 4 years or so as things develop?
Well, for me, my role here primarily is to deliver the McDonald legacy. So we've got planning permission in just now to bring a road in, which will come through the National Trust of Scotland's facility over there, the Robert Burns Birthplace Museum. We've worked very closely with them. They've been fantastic, and they've actually sold us land to bring the road in. We worked with South Ayrshire Council to get various rights of servitude. Once we get that road in, which will appear between the first and the second pitch, we will then put in an all-weather pitch where the second pitch is. After that, we look at the facilities in the clubhouse, and the ambition there is to make it work commercially. So it's open 7 days a week, it's bringing in revenue, and we then invest that revenue into amateur sport and into community. So we're delivering something for the community here that's not costing the local community anything, it's not costing the council anything. It's just a very, very positive thing that we're doing, and giving to the community.
Sounds like this could be the template for other areas, couldn't it?
Well, with
that sort of cooperation.
It's getting cooperation. It's working with your council, it's working with other organisations like the National Trust, and people round about you, because if you can work together, what you can achieve together is so much bigger than what you can achieve on your own. And I think certainly in our town people are realising that.
And I think also as well, having Millbrae as the centre of attention, because there was rumours, wasn't it, that you were going to be leaving Millbrae at some point, but certainly not on your watch.
Over my dead body, I think, which didn't go down well with everybody. But what my thought was, we were offered a stadium called Dam Park Stadium, which is in the town centre, and my ambition early on was, no, we won't sell Millbrae and redevelop Dam Park. We'll keep Millbrae and we'll buy Dam Park. And how do we find a way of doing that? But we've done it. The McDonald legacy paid for the purchase of Dam Park in September, and it's now, we'll use it in the next 12-18 months as a fallback, because we will lose some playing facilities here. But moving forward, I think it's got massive potential for doing youth academies, not just for AYR but the whole area.
So it all sounds rather positive. When are we going to see this, do you think?
Well, my hope is that we break ground at the start of 2024. Phase 1 and Phase 2 I would hope to have completed by autumn. And then Phase 3 will be the clubhouse and the changing facilities. So it's moving at a pace. We've still got a lot of work to do, and it'll be ongoing, but it's moving at a pace. And when it starts, you can't stop it.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to seeing all that happen. Brian, thanks very much indeed. I know you're a very busy man on match day, so all the best to you and all the best to the club as well. Fantastic to hear of the plans.
You're welcome.
That's Brian Williamson. Now back to the Premiership, and we've heard obviously from Jed Forrest at Musselburgh, and we've also heard about Hoyk and Embrackis. Let's move on to another match which is happening at Philiphaugh, an intriguing contest between Selkirk and second placed Mar as well today. Selkirk have been obviously a bogey team for Mar over the last few years. Let's hear from Mar's Stephen Adair and first head coach of Selkirk, Sesh Henderson.
We want to really be competitive at the weekend, and our forwards are really strong at the moment, and it's got some quality backs as well. Ben Pickles is playing really well, so is Callum Anderson, so we've got strength across the back line. So we want to try and go out on Saturday and just really put in a massive competitive performance, and against Mar, we know it's going to be physical. Their attack shape is really strong, but however, we believe that we can take them to the last 10-15 minutes, and if we can, then why not believe we can win? There's no point in playing if we can't believe we've got to win, and we can and get points. So we're really looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be a massive test, but we're going to try and get that performance edge in our attack and our defence, and let's see what happens.
We have another massive game this week down in the Borders. We were happy with about 50 minutes of our performance against Hawks. We managed to get the bonus point before half time. Obviously the weather had factors in that, but we took our chances when they were on offer, and it put us in a nice position. Second half, towards the end of the game, our discipline was really, really poor. Went down to 13 men, which we know this weekend we cannot do against Selkirk, or we'll be punished. Selkirk, look, they're in a great bit of form at the minute. They beat Jed last week, and they beat Hawks at home the weekend before with a last minute try. So we know that we must be on the ball for 80 minutes, and we need to match them physically. Obviously, we need to work hard on and off the ball, and our defence needs to be watertight to try and stop Selkirk source. We have a relatively unchanged squad this week, which is nice. The guys, they've been working really hard and implementing what we're looking for this weekend. We've had good numbers, some guys trying to push into the team, but we've obviously rewarded the guys last week that put in a great shift against Hawks. We're obviously well aware what this game means. We've obviously played twice in the Borders so far this season. We won one, lost one, so we know how tough it will be coming down to Selkirk and trying to obviously take some points for that game. We're obviously trying to keep pressure on the top of the table, and we've got Purdie hot in our tails for that home semi-final spot at the moment, so we're well aware of we're going to need a full 80-minute performance to try and get over the line on Saturday.
Stephen Adair from Mar. Before that, it was the Selkirk head coach, who is of course Sesh Henderson. Going to have a look at some of the matches being called off now. Glasgow Hawks against Kelso in the Premiership, that's off. Biggar v Gala and GHA v Glasgow Accies has just gone as well. GHK v Highland, that's 3 games off in National 1, should I say, for today. National 2, they're all standing at the moment. That's Falkirk Stumel, Gordonians against Newton Stewart, Kirkcaldy Berwick and Peebles v Aberdeen Grammar. National 3, there was no games scheduled for today anyway because it's a rest day, and 1 game's gone in Division 4, Garnock against North Berwick, but Strathmore v Perthshire and Whitecraigs v Dunfermline, as far as we know at the moment, is still going ahead. So let's have a look at National 2 then and hear from some more coaches, starting with Peebles against Aberdeen Grammar. Peebles in 3rd place at the moment, behind Falkirk in 2nd, and Lasswade at the top. Lasswade, of course, sit it out today as they've got a game in hand, so a chance for both Falkirk and Peebles to climb above them in the table. Let's hear from the Peebles boss, and that is Graham Patterson.
Now, Aberdeen will be dangerous, as every week they're just looking to get some sort of step up in their fight for survival, so we've got to be wary of that. They will probably come out the traps looking to get some sort of foothold in the game, and if it means soaking up that pressure, that's what we have to do. Soaking up that pressure, applying our own pressure to them, and then hoping that breaking point comes fairly quickly in the game, and we get a good performance, which will lead to a good result. Squad wise, we're fairly settled, certainly in the backs. It's looking like an unchanged back line, which is key, keeping that continuity, building relationships and positions, looking to develop our game week on week. A bit of rejig in the forwards with a few unavailabilities. Obviously this is a rescheduled game and a couple of guys unavailable due to this. Neil Hogarth got taken off injured last week, so he's unavailable due to the injury, but we're replacing one old stalwart with another, and Willie Aitken will start up front. Matty Carrier's unavailable this week, so it gives opportunities for Rory Smith and Lewis Copeland and John Napier to step into that mantle. And pleasingly, we've got club captain Murdo Anderson back available after his injury over the last 6 weeks. Unfortunately for the team, it's a replacement for somebody who's also unavailable, and Finlay Collins will be away. But Murdo will fill that gap and come straight back in to lead the team.
That's Graham Patterson now. Berwick won their first match of the season last week at home to Stirling County. They'll be looking to back that up against the team just above them in the table, Kirkcaldy. But the match is being played at Beveridge Park. Here's Berwick's forwards coach, and that's Paul Pringle.
We know this will be a really tough match. We've got a couple of injuries, so Saturday was expensive for us in the fact that Cam Rogerson, our scrum half's out for what's likely to be about 2 months with a bad injury at his back. Club captain Ali Grieve had a head knock, so he's likely to be 3 weeks, I think is the protocol, so we'll lose him for. But we have a couple of guys coming back in who'll fill those spaces, and apart from that, we're largely unchanged. So we're looking forward to the match. Kirkcaldy are effectively the next target for us. Now we're off the bottom. They're the next team, just a couple of points ahead of us. So we really want to come into this and, try and get a victory up there. But we know it'll not be easy. They've had good results against Aberdeen and Stumel this season. So we're not taking anything for granted, but we've had a hard week in training. Boys have built up again, and we just want to get on the road on Saturday and see what we can do and hopefully come back with another win.
I mentioned that Falkirk are back at Sunnyside this afternoon, taking on Stuart's Melville, who've been getting better and better all season. Alex Haggart is the Stumel head coach, and this is what he had to say ahead of the game today.
Looking forward into this week, obviously playing Falkirk. We're going there. They've just stuck 50 on Grammar. They're really, really good side. Really looking forward to visiting. They're a great team, great club, and they've been super helpful for us as well over the last few weeks. So yeah, just looking to take what we did on Saturday into them, look to win the kicking battle. Obviously, they've got a sort of slight slope on the pitch, so play a lot of rugby in that half, kick down there, force pressure, and see what we can come away with. But like I say, we're under no illusions. This is a really good team. They're top 2 in the league, looking to go up and put pressure on. But at the same time, we played really well against Peebles. We put pressure on them, so we back our own game as well. And I think just a quick note from me, we had Jamie Kane playing for us, who was 17. He's not actually 18 until Saturday, who's off to Australia to enjoy a few months of travelling in rugby out there. So we wish him all the best, and he's done a phenomenal job for us. So he's left a bit of a hole, but we've got a couple of guys in the squad who can maybe pick up that mantle, which is nice.
Alex Haggard, well, he did mention that they were good friends with Falkirk. I don't know if that's going to last, because they're 19-0 down at the moment. Falkirk 19, Stumel 0. That game kicked off at 2 o'clock. 3 tries for Falkirk at Sunnyside. That's an incredible start for them. There's scores in the Premiership already as well. 4 tries at Golden Acre. Heriots Blues 7. Curry 21 is a latest score. And Kirkcaldy 0, Berwick 19. 3 tries for Berwick in the first 25 minutes of that game. One other scoreline for you in East League 1. It's Langham 5, Haddington 0 down there at Milntown. And Kirkcaldy have just got a try back. It's Kirkcaldy 5 now, Berwick 19.
Dug up my roots, treated us like quick, quick. It's wall to wall and brick to brick. They work so fast, it makes you sick. It's bad. It's bad. A house where we can stay. And you bid every day. It's bad. A road for us to cross. Builders lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Down with sticks and up with bricks. In with boots and up with roots. It's in with suits and new recruits. It's bad. It's bad. A house where we can stay. And you bid every day. It's bad. A road for us to cross. Builders lots and lots and lots and lots. It's bad. A house where we can stay. And you bid every day. It's bad. A road for us to cross. Builders lots and lots and lots and lots.
You're tuned to Rugby Radio. 2:33 is the time, and latest scores coming in already. Premiership, it's Heriots Blue 7, Currie 21. That's a 2 o'clock kickoff, of course. No score lines at the moment in National 2. The reason for that is because both the 2 o'clock games have been called off. That's Biggar against Gala and GHA against Glasgow Accies, not going ahead today. Nor is GHKV Highland, which was due to kick off at 3 o'clock. So we're left with AYR Melrose. That's definitely going ahead. Both teams on the park, and Watsonians against Dundee as well. Well, earlier on we heard from Hawick head coach Matty Douglas. They play Edinburgh Accies this afternoon. Time to cross over to Mansfield Park and join our reporter Alan Lorimer.
Premiership leaders Hawick face Edinburgh Accies at Mansfield Park today, knowing that their last game against the City outfit at Rayburn Place back in September was something of a slogfest, which the Greens won eventually by a 5-point margin. Since then, Hawick have improved while Accies have experienced a run of mixed fortune, most recently defeats to Musselburgh and then Heriots. In many ways, the pressure will be much greater on the shoulders of Edinburgh Accies today as they seek to stay in the top 4, and today a win for the visitors would fend off the challenge of both Heriots and Musselburgh, the latter poised to leapfrog their way into a playoff spot. For Hawick, today's match will be about consolidating their top position in the Premiership and producing a performance that will raise confidence ahead of their rematch with Currie Chieftains at Malney Park next Saturday. The Greens field a largely settled side for today's clash with Accies, but there are opportunities for youngsters Hector Patterson, who comes in for Gareth Welsh at scrum half, and on the bench hooker Marcus Brogan, who captained Hawick Youth 2 seasons ago, and versatile back Eli Hamilton to prove themselves. Accies are still without the talented Jamie Looms at standoff, but his replacement over the past few weeks, Ben Appleson, has been settling in well to the pivot role. Hawick will be favourites today, which makes the main task of coach Matty Douglas one of dispelling any complacency. It's a must-win for both sides, but on a day when temperatures have dipped, home fans will want a heart and body-warming performance from the Greens, with a bonus point victory very much the target to make more likely a home semi-final come the playoffs.
Alan Lorimer at Mansfield Park today. Some latest scores. Division 2, it's now, would you believe, Falkirk 31, Stewmel 0, and that's with just half an hour gone and at the sunny side at the moment. Kirkcaldy 5, Berwick 19 is a latest score at Beveridge Park, and Langham 5, Haddington 0 in East League 3. Well, from Alan Lorimer, we go to a rather interesting game which is happening at Stony Hill today. It's Musselburgh against Jed Forest. With the details, here's Hugh Brown.
As we know, Jed are bottom of the Premiership with no wins from 12 games and looking destined for relegation, currently 19 points behind second bottom Glasgow Hawks, whose match against Kelso is off today. So can Jed turn it around? Well, if they can, and it's a big if, then the revival has to start today against Musselburgh. And there's an extra incentive for the Jed team because, as well as the league points, the Bill McLaren Shield is at stake. Musselburgh surprisingly defeated Mar back on the 28th of October to become the current holders of the trophy. And what better motivation can the men from Riverside have than to take the Shield back down the A68? In team news, 3 changes for Jed in the main team. Nicky Bates, Jamie Hind and Brodie Irvin all get a starting place, while Michael Weekley, Robbie Thompson and Kyle Grieve are named in the replacements. So this is a crucial game for Jed if they want to have any chance of avoiding the drop. Here at Stony Hill, it's a sunny but chilly afternoon for Musselburgh against Jed Forest. Kick-off at 3 p.m.
Hugh Brown there reporting, and from Stony Hill we go to Philip Hawke. Also in the Premiership, it's Mar against Selkirk. It's always tight between these two clubs. Our reporter covering this one is Sam Matthews.
That's right, Stuart. It's always a feisty affair between these two teams. Although they're far apart in the table, both can boast 2 wins out of their last 3 games, with Selkirk looking to make it a hat-trick bid here today. However, Mar have won more games away from home this season than Selkirk have actually won here at Philip Hawke, so a confident Mar side will know there is a chance for points today. Speaking of confidence, the reverse fixture saw Mar defeat Selkirk 38-24 out on the west coast, but Selkirk did manage to get the try bonus point, which I'm sure Sesh Henderson will be using to motivate his players today. Selkirk named 2 changes to their starting 15, with Cammy Eason and Munro Job both coming in for the home side. Mar, on the other hand, name a full 20 matching last week's fixture, so a complete squad rerun for them, which is a great achievement. Special mention for young Cammy Inglis at fullback today, making his 50th appearance for the Mar side. A great achievement when you think he's only 21 years old. All action to come from Philip Hawke. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. with live updates on Rugby Radio.
Ask me where to begin. Am I so lost in my sin? You ask me where did I fall? I'll say I can't tell you when. But if my spirit is lost, how will I find what is near? Don't question, I'm not alone. Somehow I'll find my way home. My sun shall rise in the east, so shall my heart be at peace. And if you're asking me when, I'll say it starts at the end. You know your will to be free is matched with love secretly, and talk won't alter your prayer. Somehow you find you are there. Your friend is close by your side and speaks in far ancient tongue. A season's wish will come true. All seasons begin with you. One world we all come from. One world we melt into one. Just hold my hand and we're there. Somehow we're going somewhere. Somehow we're going somewhere.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Latest scores in the Premiership. It's Heriots Blues 14, Currie 26. Currie already with the bonus point inside the first half. In National 2, it's Falkirk 31, Stumel 5. Stumel pulling one back there, but Falkirk already with the try bonus. Berwick have got a try bonus as well at Kirkcaldy. Kirkcaldy 5, Berwick 26. Langham 5, Haddington 0. And Hoyt-Lindeen in East League 2 3, Christophan 10. Well, we're less than 20 minutes to go to kick off here at Millbrae for our featured match between AYR and Melrose. Dale Clancy will be calling that one with Robin Purdie, who joins me now. Excitement certainly building here, and the fans at Millbrae have certainly enjoyed a good season so far.
Oh, they certainly have, Stuart. It's been literally perfect. 11 wins from 11 games, and I think, you know, in your interview earlier it was discussed the fact that there just seems to be a real buzz around here at the moment, just everybody pulling in the same direction. I was in the club rooms earlier on, incidentally, and there looked like a fair-sized lunch going on, so yeah, sure, it'll be a big crowd in here this afternoon, and they tend to be pretty vociferous down here as well.
They certainly do, just like in Mar. I think it's something about the West Coast area as well.
Yeah, I really like that. You know, the more clubs whereby the fans get behind the team and possibly give the opposition a wee bit, the better, as far as I'm concerned. As long as it's all good, you know, good natured, of course. But
absolutely,
partisan. I think partisan is the word.
Absolutely, and of course, I mean, if Melrose are looking for a little bit of hope here, they did play GHA here, and only in the last second they got over the line with a very late try to retain that record. So they are beatable.
You know, stranger things have happened. I would say, you know, I forget where we were that day, but as the results were coming in, the result from here where they were losing, and it did raise a few eyebrows with us. But AYR did what champion teams do. They found a way to win. I don't know how much input from the sidelines Grant Anderson had on that, or is just sheer presence, because I love the way he talks, Grant, but I wouldn't want to be on the end of one of his hairdryer treatments. I wouldn't have thought.
Team news then for both AYR and Melrose.
I think AYR have got a strong look about them. They're missing one of their sort of talismanic backs in the shape of Jamie Bova. He's banned after a red card last week, but yeah, they've still got the likes of Pete McCallum in there, Rowan Potty, who have always been really impressed with the open side flanker, and their captain Cameron Rees is back in the fold these days as well after more than a year out. That's a back row with a really good balanced look about it. I really like Joe Stafford as a player as well. He's an ex-pro in the second row, and he gives them a lot of go forward, and he's a tough old boy as well.
And in the Melrose side, of course, we've got that what looked like an unpronounceable prop, but in fact it's actually quite easy, and you've been practicing.
Yeah, Gershon Mukendi.
There you go.
Yeah, no problem with me. He's the kind of Canadian import, if you like. He's on Melrose have that exchange arrangement with Toronto Arrows, so he's over here, the ex-Canada under-20 man, getting a bit of experience. Melrose, I think if they're going to do anything today, it's going to take a couple of big players to have big games. Struan Hutchison, for me, is arguably the top performer in this division. He needs to have a big game. He was in Kenya last week playing a bit of sevens for Samurai, and Don Crawford's going to don the number 13 jersey today. He's played a lot of rugby this season for the Southern Knights and fitted in pretty well at that level as well, so this is him back at the club team, stepping down a level. So Melrose, if they're going to come away from here with anything today, then they're going to need the likes of those boys to have big performances.
And where do you think they're going to target AYR in this game?
Oh, it's hard to say, Stuart, to be honest. I don't think, having seen the reverse fixture at the Greenyards earlier this season, I don't think, having seen AYR, you can say that there's really a weak link in this team. They are, if nothing else, exceptionally well drilled. Every single one of them, including the guys on the bench, know exactly what their role is. That's how it would appear anyway. And I don't think you can come here of all places and say, yeah, this guy's a weak link, or this area of the team is a weak link. I just think they've got too much of a strong look about them.
They certainly have. Well, of course, kick-off here at 3 o'clock. A couple of half-times have come in now, and one of them's in East League 2, Hoyt-Lindeen 8, Christophan 15, and it's half-time at Sunnyside. It's Falkirk 31, Stumel 5. Well, kick-off, as we say, at 3 o'clock here, but still time to bring you an interview I had with Richie Gray a short time ago. There's two well-known Richie Grays in Scottish rugby, of course. One plays for Scotland still. The other is one of the best coaches around and an entrepreneur who's the leading leading man in World Rugby when it comes to the contact area of the game. He's known as the Collision King. He's coached Scotland, Fiji and the Springboks and has invented nearly 50 coaching training aids. He's been around the scene for a long time, and on Monday night on ITV Border you can see a programme at 10:45 that we put together on Richie, and he really is a fascinating character. And in this interview I asked him how he got involved in the contact area of the sport in the first place.
I just always thought that the whole area of rucking was a big Borders thing. You know, you've been brought up on that. And then I remember in 1988 on the Scottish Schoolboys tour, we went out with a good team, you know, and we played Hannon Shields districts, which I think would now be a South or a North Canterbury team. And we got absolutely smashed. Like, they beat us about 32 points to about 12. And we were thinking, you know, but their body height was so good. Everything was on the ball. They technically were just so much better than us. And I remember our two coaches then, Peter Gallagher and Rob Moffat, actually said, right boys, the only way we're going to survive on this tour is we're going to have to join these guys at the game that they're playing, you know. And the next day we went to St Kevin's College. I've got a brilliant memory for rugby, Stuart. Horrific for, I wish it had been good for biology and English and geography, but for rugby I can just about remember every name, every play. It's like a photographic memory for things that went on. St Kevin's College, an old priest who was their head coach came down and had this sled with 2 tackle bags literally strapped to it, and if you went too high the rope literally would rip your ear, you know, so it forced you to go low. Well, we hit these sleds for like 6 weeks, and seriously when you came back our body position was phenomenal. We ended up having a great tour. We ended up, you know, really winning some big games out there, but it was all because of the whole way that we'd been trained in contact and collision. So that was the start of it. It was like the seed. And then after that I always knew that the game was going to change. Defences are getting better, players were physically more powerful, they were faster, there was only going to be more collisions in the game, and the team that can win that collision area, fast ball, can slow down the opposition ball, was going to always be, you know. And if you look at the modern game now, the breakdown pretty much has got a huge outcome on where the game's going to go.
So this machine that you invented, the sled, the Collision King, I mean, a hell of a risk for anyone, because there's a lot of money involved with that. It's massive. A big piece of kit, like, with no guarantees.
Yeah, Stuart, it was, you know, this is the next kind of bit of the story. I remember one Christmas, it was about 2 weeks before Christmas Day, I was sitting looking at the profit and loss account going, if I don't make this work, I'm in problem here. I'd lost my job, you know, you were redundant, you were battling on, you know, you had mortgage to pay, the whole thing. And I'm thinking to myself, if I don't make this work, this is going to cost me a huge amount of money, you know. But I always believed in it, you know, and I always knew that this was going to work. And I also knew it was going to be the start of a lot more. I've now got 47 products for contact, collision, tackle that are all over the world, you know. But it started with that one. And that was the kind of start for me. And I remember my wife saying, you know, that'll be it, you'll never do another one. And once you start, for me, I just can't stop looking at other innovations within our sport. I'm also coaching at the highest level, so I see it every day. I know exactly what's needed, and sometimes I see it before everybody else does. So that's, you got to stay ahead of the curve, you know.
And getting involved with big companies as well, very, very important to give you their backing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, firstly with Rhino, you know, Rhino were the first one to take it on. They were the kind of main sled company in that era. And since then, Gilbert, I've designed a lot of equipment for Gilbert. I have a number of other rugby companies that would like me to design equipment for them, but I just don't have the time. And then my own company pretty much has now done it all. And I'm linked to Riddell in the US with American football, one of the biggest sports companies on the planet, Riddell, helmets, pads. Their next thing was, we need to start making our players perform better. So all of a sudden you've got that, and on the back of that, you've also written all the methodology. So pretty much every tackle programme, any youngster in the world that is coached tackling now will come through Tackle Ready, which is with World Rugby. You've also got the advanced tackle system in the US with USA Football. So it's good to know that your methodology now, just over the last 2 or 3 years, is starting to be implemented across not just rugby union, but in American football as well.
And rugby league and any
rugby
contact
league.
sport.
Yeah,
really.
any tackle sport, they'll pretty much look at the 5 fights tackle methodology as the sort of gold standard.
What does that feel like then, to be number one in your game and approached by national teams and now, of course, World Rugby as well? You can't go much higher, can you?
I know, it's funny, Stuart, people ask me this a lot and I always think, well, you know, I've not even finished yet. You know, that's phase one. I have to now make it better, because I always think that you can always coach something better. You can always innovate something to make it better. So I've just never ever stopped. It's funny, I've never ever sat down and thought, right, you know what, I'm happy now that I've done. No chance. There's a lot more to do.
A lot more to do for Richie Gray, and you can watch and see that programme on Richie on ITV Border at 10:45 on Monday night. Well worth a watch.
Stuck inside these four walls, sent inside forever, never seeing no one nice again, like you, Mama, you.
Welcome back to Millbrae. We're just ahead of kick-off. Let's give you some latest scores in the Premiership. It's Heriots Blues 14, Currie 26. In National 2, it's currently Falkirk 38, Stuart Melville 5, Kirkcaldy 17, Berwick 31 is a latest score. In the East League 1, Langham 8, Haddington 7. Haddington, one of the two big top teams at the moment, so going well, Langham at Milltown. And in the East League 2, it's Hoytlandine 8, Kirstophen 15. So not long before kick-off here in this National 1 derby, it's AYR against Melrose. We're going to hear from summariser Robin Purdie shortly, but first a very good afternoon to your commentator for this afternoon's match, and that is Dale Clancy.
Thank you very much, Stuart, and good afternoon to everybody to a frosty west coast of Scotland here at Millbrae, where two sides who have dined at the top table of Scottish rugby for the last 2 decades find themselves in National 1 after the restructure of Super Series a couple of years ago. The appetite for success in both of these sides is still as hungry as ever. One side perhaps has got the upper hand on the visitors this afternoon as they find themselves at the top of National 1 and almost sailing into the Premiership next season. However, before they punch their ticket to the Premiership and get back amongst the big dogs yet again, they've got a familiar foe to overcome this afternoon. Kicking off at 3 o'clock, they welcome Melrose here at Millbrae. But AYR, they're going to start with Scott Watson at fullback. They've got Tom Lanny and Zach Howard on the wings. Angus North and Harry Lynch are the centre partnership, with Adam McGowan, a very impressive scrum half, is going to partner the experienced Danny McCluskey at fly half. The front row of Adam Prentice, Tom Martin and Caleb Ray, who was standout last weekend for the home side, are going to be parked down in front of Joe Stafford and Angus Troop in the second row. Captain Rees maintains fitness and keeps his place in the back row alongside Rowan Potty and the experienced Pete McCallum packing down at number 8. AYR have made their way onto the pitch with their very famous and almost striking and daunting pink and black shirts, and they're going to be playing directly in front of us at Millbrae from right to left as they emerge from the sheds. But the visitors, Melrose, they're going through what we could probably call a transitional phase at the club after Super Series is somewhat taking the wind out of their sails. They're in a place that is now thriving, and there's perhaps going to be some lessons to be learnt this afternoon. It's going to be a big task for Melrose to be the first team to put a defeat on this AYR side. And they're going to line up with Kieran Clark at fullback, Matty Bertram and James Brown on the wing, Rolly Brett and the returning Don Crawford at outside centre after a very successful period with the Southern Knights in Super Series. Halfback partnership of Doug Crawford and Struan Hutchison after his ventures in Kenya are going to be the halfback pairing. Finn Barry, Hamish Derrick and Gershom Mukunde is the front row for Melrose. Angus Runciman and Tom Brown in the middle row with Craig Fairbairn, Dylan Coburn and Lachlan Gaddy in the back row for Melrose. Alongside me this afternoon, just before kick-off gets underway, Robin Purdie. We've been watching both of these sides warm up. We've watched them this season and followed them. This is still a really tantalising fixture, but it's got a slightly different tinge to it this season.
Yeah, they've had some serious battles over the years, this pair. But as you said, Dale, they find themselves in a bit of a different place these days, both in this division, of course, but as you mentioned, AYR absolutely sauntering to the Premiership this season. So yeah, tough ask for the Green Yards men this afternoon.
Lee Fish is going to be your match official. Just a wry thumbs up to the Melrose captain. Just making sure Melrose are in position with their mostly decked out black tops with the thin yellow hoops, and we're underway. The ball kicked off and gathered very well from Dylan Coburn early on. He's been clattered on the 22 metre line, relatively centre field, as Doug Crawford gets the ball away on rushing Lachlan Gaddy, offering up the first opportunity. Hutchison looks to try and go for deep, and he slipped the first challenge, and now he's out the 22, stabs it downfield. And fullback Scott Watson's going to have to watch this carefully as the ball dribbles into the air. 22, good pressure from Struan Hutchison, but cleared downfield from Scott Watson. And you mentioned beforehand, so I'll let you take it from here, Struan Hutchison. How important is he going to be this afternoon?
Oh, Matt, he's practically everything, in my opinion, as far as this Melrose outfit's concerned. As I said before, for my money, pound for pound, he's the best player in this division. Could be playing comfortably at a higher level, and that was a big and positive break by him just then.
Finn Barry thrown into the line-out, decked down with the number 1 on his jersey, but thrown into the line-out. Plenty of throwing options for Melrose in the front row. Now Angus Runciman carrying forward. Melrose had a minute gone, and they've had a very positive start. considering they're lying 20 points behind the Ayr in the National 1 table. Now Donald Crawford, acting as first receiver, just tips the ball back in field, and Melrose again break the first challenges. Ball now quickly through the hands into the waiting arms of Kieran Clark. Ball then filtered out wide. Melrose doing well to retain the ball. Hutchison out the back door to Rolly Brett, and now McKendy, ball in hand, Florian over the halfway line. Makes some good ground as Hutchison recycles well and folds the ball over at that far side where it actually is Kieran Clark waiting this time, 15 on his back. Matty Bertram wearing number 14. Almost Russian dolls then, pair. But Melrose now in between the 10 metre line and the 22. Hutchison back in field. Good hands from Melrose, keeping the ball alive as Rolly Brett finds an option out the back door. It's Crawford. Crawford now floats the ball to Bertram, bounce off the right foot, back into the left, and then offload back in field to Lachlan Gaddy, who powers his way over the 10 metre line. Melrose incessant pressure on this for this 1 minute as Tom Brown now clatters himself forward on the 10 metre line. Ball just squirms out of that breakdown, and Doug Crawford does well to just evade the legs of Joe Stafford, who was towering over him. Perhaps the shadow of the ex-Glasgow Academy rugby player. Then the Doug Crawford would just head it away pretty quickly, and now a little coming together there of the Cameron Rees, who shuns Doug Crawford away, Donald Crawford away with his feet, but there is going to be a penalty there for a high challenge. And that was impressive from Melrose, you've got to say.
Yeah, I don't think Melrose could have started any better than that, Dale. They've had all the possession, they've had a really good break by Struan Hutchison, then a little half break there by Doug Crawford, and yeah, I think Melrose, after 20 minutes, are you in the game, stay in the game for 20 minutes, but that's as good a start as they could have expected.
Still ball in hand, penalty to kick downfield, and it's Hutchison to find a good touch. And it's Melrose who are going to be the first team to really have any sort of pressure inside the opposition 22. And there was almost a flashback, a little bit of frost just in front of the shadows of the stand here at Millbrae. A little bit of a throwback to the time where Callum Forrester took his Ayr side down to the green yards before it was a synthetic surface. I thought there was perhaps going to be an opportunity for revenge at this occasion, but the game goes ahead, and Melrose throw into the line out, and off the top it goes to Doug Crawford, and he manages just to feed on and busting through. Melrose are going to strike first through Craig Fairbairn, and that is as easy as you like. And this defence for Ayr has not been porous this season, but it certainly looked leaky there, and what a brilliant start for Melrose.
Oh, absolutely fantastic start by Melrose. We wondered pre-match about the character that they're going to need if coming down to a place like this, particularly after their massively heavy reversal at home last week. But yeah, absolutely fantastic start, and that was a move right off first phase, which Ayr probably thought they were going to drive that, I would say, and they just caught them cold.
Good ball off the top from Lachlan Gaddy. Did find Doug Crawford, who again manages to wheel away from the breakdown and drag the defenders in a position where he could just feed Craig Fairbairn, and he just splintered through and got an opening score. 4 minutes gone here. Melrose take an early lead, 5 points to 0, and it is now stretched to 7 because Struan Hutchison has just lumped it over the sticks. And I did say before the game, Iain Chisholm, who says that I don't have many opinions, asked me for a score prediction. I said about 38-12 to Ayr. I think that's perhaps acted as a bit of fuel to the fire for him in this game.
Well, I think if many people were to come down here with a bet on Melrose, Dale, you'd say they're a fool and their money are easily parted given the table.
Kick off there. Again, well gathered by Melrose, who have enjoyed the opening 5 minutes of this game with the ball in hand and mostly in live action as well. Matty Bertram at that time having to roll about on the ground to secure it. Now Doug Crawford lobs it into the sky. Lurking in behind there is Adam McGowan. He does well and then breaks free from the first challenge. Finn Barry with the mullet and all flapping about in this West Coast Air. Tries to scrag the scrum half as Stafford picks round the corner. Very attritional, pugnacious character in the back row, in the middle row for Ayr. Very versatile player, and another one is Cameron Rees. A welcomed return to fitness as Potty was almost released through the gap there, but the knock on. And they call it tidy up from the Ayr supporters, and you can't disagree with that. It's been a little bit frenetic from the home side, who certainly look a little bit shell-shocked at the level of ability here from Melrose.
Yeah, and the level of sort of tenacity by Melrose as well. They probably weren't expecting this, and yeah, they just need to find their way into this game here. Of course, let's not write them off yet. They've got far too much about them, but yeah, they've been caught a wee bit cold so far.
Couple of quick latest scores for you. Hoyk 7, Edinburgh Accies 3, Musselburgh 7, Jed Forest 0, Selkirk 0, Mar 5, all in the Premiership, and Heriots Blues 14, Curry 29 at the moment. In National 1, it's obviously AYR 0, Melrose 7 here, but Watsonians got an early score against Dundee, 7-0 at Marside.
Back here at Millbrae, it's 7 points to 0 for Melrose. 6.5 minutes gone. Scrum put in, and it's been well thwarted there by Melrose. The ball just scooped into the hands of Doug Crawford. Struan Hutchison takes it to the line, and Rolly Brett, scrum cap and all, then just clatters it upfield, looking to lay that platform on as Doug Crawford wants to try and lurk round the fringes, but he's been almost handbagged by the AYR defence, who just engulfed the scrum half as he looked to try and break free. He's almost managed to recycle himself well, but there was an opportunity there for Angus Troop to stoop and grab the ball and head it downfield, but the referee has spotted that there's another penalty coming there for the visitors, and Hutchison gets another chance just to kick it downfield.
Yeah, and again, more strong stuff by Melrose. They don't look too daunted by the, what is a big old challenge coming down here against the unbeaten league leaders. They've started fantastic.
Thank you. The ball now lodged in a tree, as the ball boy has to now scamper up that and retain it. He's done well. Still on top of the ball, on top of the wall. Ball back in play almost. It's now in the hooker's hands. Finn Barry on the 22 for Melrose. A bit of movement in that line out. They look to go to the middle, and again it's the target of Lachlan Gaddy. It's been brought down well, and Barry does what all good hookers do and gets himself at that tail of that driving maul. Hands coming in there from Stafford, but it's done well to splinter down the side, and Doug Crawford spots an opportunity on the blind side. He's been thwarted. The ball from Fairbairn, the early try scorer in this game, has found his back row partner in Gaddy. Looks like there's another advantage coming as Fairbairn carries forward again. Crawford now releasing the backs. Hutchison crossfield kick, and there's oodles of room out wide if Matty Bertram can gather this ball. A little bit of footwork, just wrong foots the defender, and Melrose go in for another try. They had the advantage, they could roll the dice, and again at the heart of it, Struan Hutchison.
Yeah, you knew he was playing with a free ball, Hutchison, and it was a pinpoint kick pass to Matty Bertram, and Melrose in absolute dreamland here.
I have always said I'm happy to be wrong, but it's certainly looking like I'm going to be wrong on this occasion if this game continues in this trajectory. Although I did say Melrose would get 12 points, so that's what they're currently at, 12 points to 0.
Yeah, well that's half the job done.
I'm just needing to score another 38 and I'll be accurate, but it's 9 minutes gone. Melrose 12 points to 0 in the lead, and it was a well worked try. Again, great discipline from Melrose just to attract that error from AYR to get that field position accurate at the line out, which is something that perhaps wasn't firing in the warm up, but it's accurate on this occasion. Kick to come. Hutchison lines up just in the shadows of the stands, 3 metres in from the touchline, right hand side of this Millbrae pitch. Slow, steady, measured run up there, but he's just dragged it to the left hand side, and it misses by quite a distance, but his earlier kick to achieve that 5 points was bang on the money.
Yeah, it was a thing of beauty, wasn't it? And yeah, you've got long odds on Melrose being 12-0 to the good after 10 minutes.
A reminder, AYR undefeated at the moment in this division. They currently are the runaway leaders, 53 points as they get play back underway. Melrose in 4th with 33 points, so this would drag AYR back down a little bit and perhaps make it a little bit more of a championship race as Melrose look to stretch the ball wide and get the ball into the hands of Brown. He breaks the first challenge. Defence has been pretty poor from AYR so far, and Melrose out of nothing are able to go from their own 22, and now chapping on the door of the AYR 22 now. Fairbairn carries forward again. He's had a really industrious start to this fixture. 10 minutes gone, and the referee spotted another penalty to Melrose. They look to go quickly. Doug Crawford taking the tap penalty. It's out of the hands of Gaddy, and he's galloping into the AYR 22. Presents the ball back, and Crawford manages to feed Dylan Coburn. He's been wrapped up there by Joe Stafford. He's been asked to release, and the ball is now presented back for Crawford to distribute again. in the hands of Hutchison. A wide pass to Brett, the looping pass to Doug Crawford, who takes it stationary, and he's been challenged well there by the Ayr defence, but and he's been well turned over as well. Danny McCluskey getting his mitts on that, and now Ayr look to try and break free. A couple of challenges they get out the road of, and now kick downfield from Scott Watson. He's not made great length on that kick, but the pressure relieved, and it's a knock on from Melrose on the 10 metre line. There's going to be a scrum down, and perhaps the first positive of this game in 11 minutes is that passage of play from Ayr. Great turnover, and can break free from their own 22.
Yeah, and that for me, Dale, stemmed from poor decision making around the penalty situation for Melrose. They tapped and went. For me, for all the world, they should have went down the touchline for that. I think they got a wee bit of rush of blood. They are 12-0 to the good.
And where does that come from? Does that come from player decisions on the park, or looking to stick to that game plan because they've been asked to play wide? You can see that in this game.
Yeah, I think that's probably the tactic. But I think given where the location of the penalty, that should have went down the touchline, and they, exactly as they did with the first try.
Reminder here, 12 minutes gone now. Melrose 12 points to the good. Ayr 0, Melrose 12. Ayr the current runaway leaders of National 1, looking to cement their place in the Premiership pretty early with a continual unbeaten run as the scrum just runs to ground. It's going to be reset here. But Ayr have let Melrose get off to a really handsome advantage in the early stages of this game. The referee just signalling to the front row exactly what he wants here after he's having to reset this scrum. Relatively firm underfoot there where the scrum is set due to the frost that we've seen overnight around the country, which has led to some games being cancelled, but fortunately at Millbrae we have got action underway. The ball rolled into the scrum there by Adam McGowan again. It's a steady platform that he's been able to distribute from. Players merging on scene. Angus North, one of them. Now McCluskey feeds the ball a little bit wider and offloading the on-rushing Scott Watson, just not able to gather. McGowan just lurks over the breakdown as the patience in this play, as Pete McCallum then just shoulders his way forward over Tom Brown. He's put to ground and running round the corner now. Adam Prentice makes some good ground for Ayr. McCluskey in position early, offering up his services, and feeds the ball on to Angus North again in a congested area, but does well to gather the ball and take it forward. Joe Stafford picks and goes. The Ayr players manage to clear away and get rid of the players who are all en masse on that breakdown area. Again Stafford just pivots and turns round the close quarters. Has been plucked by Pete McCallum from the nucleus of that ruck as he thinks he spots an opportunity. Well defended again by Melrose. It's their first real opportunity in this game to show their defensive skills, and they've been almost breached out wide. The wingers linking up, and eventually the Strackles are relieved from the tackle there and scampering over as Zach Howard for a try. Good interlinking play from the wingers from Ayr. And Ayr finally come to life and narrow the margins here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. They've awoken from their slumber. But I'm going to repeat myself here, Dale. That for me all stemmed from that poor decision making at the penalty situation for Melrose. Ayr have gone up the other end, few phases, and now they're in for their first try kick to come.
5-12 here at Millbrae. 15 minutes gone. I've got the feeling this could be a little bit of a ding-dong battle. Melrose have come out the traps exceptionally well, but Ayr are a team who are familiar to being in these close, tight battles. Have never won a Scottish Cup by more than 4 points, so they know how to get the job done. And it's the kicking duties of Scott Watson for Ayr, just on the 15-metre line, left-hand side of the uprights, about a metre behind the 22-metre line. A slow run up. Ball just angled towards the right-hand upright here at Millbrae. Right-footed strike, and it's looping straight through the middle. Never in doubt there from the full-back. And it's a full 7 points for Ayr, and it's a good reaction from the home side.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was a reaction, a positive reaction. They didn't get in too much of a flap at the prospect of going 12-0 down, but yeah, they've come to life in this one, that's for sure, and it's a game on.
Melrose taking their time to get back to the halfway line to get play back underway. Struan Hutchison is the the player ready to get proceedings going again here in what is becoming a fascinating encounter in National 1. Well gathered by Pete McCallum in the 22. Feeds the ball a little bit wider, and Don Crawford standing upright. Kind of almost fell back out of the challenge. Knew he was riding a little bit high, and the penalty advantage is coming. Joe Stafford tips the ball on, one-handed almost, releases Scott Watson, who's just shoved off field in front of us. Matty Bertram and the fullback have a little coming together. And then the intimidating character of Joe Stafford arrives on the scene, and that kind of squashed the coming together there.
Ball carry was lower. He did hit him high. That's why a penalty. Yeah, totally agree.
Lee Fish having a conversation there with Angus Runciman about that coming together, and I don't think you can argue with that really. You know, in today's laws and looking at what the incentives are to drive a little bit lower, you can see that that's probably the right decision.
Yeah, it was probably the most straightforward penalty you're likely to see this afternoon. I thought Melrose were a wee bit slow in getting up there. Line speed, it enabled McCallum first of all to get up ahead of speed and just create that platform, and yeah, Melrose have just given Ayr an easy out here.
Okay, latest in the Premiership, it's now Heriots Blues 21, Curry 29, Hoyk 7, Embrackis 3, Musselburgh 17, Jed Forrest 5. That's tries from Sandy Watt, Paul Cunningham and Danny Owenson to a Robbie Shearer Gibb try for Jed Forrest. And it's Selkirk 12, Mar 12, Jake Jacobson scoring, and Alex Anthrop for Mar. But 2 Josh Welsh tries have brought it back to 12 each.
Line out directly in front of us on the 10-metre line is well executed by Ayr, and now they've got a head of steam in this drive and maul. They've made a good 10 yards, and I think that frosty bit of the pitch perhaps has been well worked there as Joe Stafford splinters through the line. Great offload as well to an on-rushing player. It looked like Lynch and North were on scene. Going round the corner now, it's now Captain Cameron Rees who makes a good 40 forward now. Again, Joe Stafford just plucking the ball from the breakdown, but the referee Lee Fish signals again there's a penalty coming the way of the home side. And that is against Rowley Brett for offside, and this is going to be an interesting decision as to what they do here, right in front of the posts. Penalty coming.
Oh, no sure. Well, I know what I would always say here, they'll go for the post, and that's what they're going to do, but strong play again from that man Joe Stafford. There were times in the reverse fixture at the Greenyards where he was he looked like a man playing in a kids game at times, and that was really strong play by him. He came at that, he came onto that 100 miles an hour.
Great to see him still playing rugby. It's been a while since I've seen him in action. Known him from many years ago, but great to see him in Ayr colours, and I think he's going to be instrumental in how they go forward and obviously how they find themselves and settle back at the top level of Scottish rugby if they do eventually make it over the line. It's not a foregone conclusion, but it's certainly looking that way. Penalty for Ayr in front of the posts. Watson, and like he did with the conversion, straight through the middle, and it's 3 points in this game now, finally poised after a blistering start from Melrose. We've got 19 minutes gone. It's Ayr 10, Melrose 12.
And we spoke about reactions before, and Ayr needed to react, and they did react. It's now Melrose's turn, if you like, to react. They've been, largely second best since they got that second try, so they need to find their way back into this encounter now from here.
Kick off back downfield. It's been well gathered again by Pete McCallum. And the cries of yes Pete from the stand have signalled that they like what they see here at Millbrae. A very enthusiastic support, a well run club. It's one of the kind of torchbearers in Scottish club rugby, you've got to say. As the ball is just orchestrated to the back of that ruck, to a more fortunate position for Adam McGowan to kick downfield, but it's just taken a little ricochet on its way, and Melrose turn up with the ball, and Lachlan Gaddy then powers forward, drops the shoulder, but he's not able to find a way over Angus Troop. Now into the hands of loose head Finn Barry, looks to try and get his hands free from a robust challenge from the Ayr defence, and back in field bringing a James Brow into play as Struan Hutchison with sleight of hand. Fairbairn acting as scrum half, but the penalty is coming the way of Ayr because the referee has spotted something in there. But Robin, I'm going to take you back to just off the kick-off.
Yeah.
You gestured with your hands, and there was probably something that you'd spotted that perhaps most of the Melrose players didn't.
Yeah, it was literally just the same as the previous kick-off where I mentioned that Pete Callum was allowed to get up a real head of steam through what was fairly lazy. Well, it was a lazy kick chase, to be honest, Dale, and it was a carbon copy. He got up ahead of speed, ahead of steam. He easily won the first contact, and it's just enabled AYR again to crab their way up this field.
Kicking downfield just now, in between the 10 metre line and the 22 here at Millbrae. AYR from the penalty, they pretty much squeezed every last drop of that field advantage because James Brown looked to try and keep the ball in, but he just encroached on the touchline. The ball is from the line out, has been flapped back very well by Gaddy. So Melrose appear with the ball in their own 22. James Brown, skull cap and all, tries to break free from the tackles which have been brought on to him by this AYR defence. And Melrose doing well to secure the ball, which they have done when they've had possession. The referee crying for the ball to be used, and Doug Crawford then kicks it downfield. It's been touched in flight, and then AYR look to try through McCluskey, just filter the ball infield, and it's the fullback Scott Watson who's just hared through. He's got a 2-on-1 opportunity and he's looking to use Zach Howard. It's a race to the corner, but brilliant defence there from Melrose, and in particular Struan Hutchison, who just ate up the ground. He saw that tantalising and appetising tackle in front of him, said yum, and off he went, and he just clattered him off the touchline. And great defence there from Melrose.
That's what he brings, Dale. I can't, I sort of wax lyrical about him a lot, but both sides of the ball, as they say nowadays, he's a tough old boy, Struan Hutchison, and that was absolutely tremendous defence, and it needed to be because AYR were in.
Challenging line out here, it's been well executed by Melrose in the 5 metre line. They ask Fairbairn, he's been tasked with a lot of attritional duties so far in this game. 21 minutes gone. AYR 10, Melrose 12. Melrose camped on their own 5 metre line, looking to try and break free. AYR, on the other hand, looking to try and take the lead for the first time in this game. And Doug Crawford just tiptoeing the ball back and left-footed, kicks it downfield. His opposite number, McGowan, is lurking backfield, but tips the ball brilliantly off the floor to Scott Watson, who's had an eventful opening 20 minutes in this game. His offload, not able to find the hand. A little faux pas there from AYR, and they're going to gift the scrum to Melrose, but AYR have started to react. This is the quality that we've perhaps been known to see of AYR over the first 11 games this season.
Yeah, they've kept their head, they've kept calm, having went 12-0 down, and since they've done that, it's been all AYR. They've had all the possession, all the territory. They're starting to eke a few Melrose penalties out of the situation as well, so Melrose just need a wee bit of possession, go through a few phases just to get their way back into this.
A sprinkling of spectators watch on in the 22. The stand very well filled here at Millbrae as well, as always. It's a really well supported club. Big ambitions going forward, and big ambitions in that scrum as well, because AYR have absolutely splintered that, and they've driven it back. Melrose would be doing well to get this ball back on a black and yellow side, but the black and pink of AYR just swarm en masse and scoop that ball back. It did look like perhaps it just ricocheted off a body, but AYR rise with the ball from that set piece, and they make amends for their earlier infringement, which allowed that scrum. Small yards, advantage coming for AYR as well. The pick round the corner from the hooker Tom Martin. Melrose try and have a little bite at that at the breakdown, but the referee has signalled that there's going to be a penalty coming.
Captain.
It'll be interesting.
2 penalties. Here, 5 offside, 12 in the centre offside. 5 here. Thank you very much, Walter.
Not the first time this game that Rolly Brett has been accused of being offside.
The ruck coming in from the side.
And the referee has signalled there's going to be a penalty. Scott Watson, the fullback for AYR, has grasped the opportunity and just nudged it downfield, and AYR are in a really attractive attacking position now.
Yeah, they are. Another penalty conceded by Melrose. That's a few now, after AYR conceded 3 pretty quickly, so the referee's not having any nonsense today, but I think he's had them pretty much spot on so far.
Lee Fish, which I thought was a lazy attempt at French, but that's his actual name, has just signalled time off here. And AYR will just be taking this opportunity to size up their options here. And they're looking for a ball. There's not one in the tree anymore. The ball boy did a good job of getting that down. And now eventually got it back on the field of play. So hooker Tom Martin throws into the line out. Cameron Rees the target. The bodies come down. They gather. The maul twist to the right hand side. It's making great inroads here. The ball has been filtered back expertly by this pack. It looks like Pete McCallum is there with the ball in hand. Flops down. AYR take the lead 15 points to 12. And it's brilliant execution there from the Millbrae men.
Yeah, wonderful control by the veteran Pete McCallum at the back of that, but chalk that one down to the 8 forwards, Dale. That was a you know, for the purists, if you like, that was a sight to behold.
Yeah, it was brilliant play. And the thunder you can hear on the tannoy, rolling thunder from that driving maul. Brilliant target there, brilliant work. Brilliant work there from AYR to get that driving maul ticking. And the forwards just melted at the maul for Melrose. And that resistance yielded, and the Millbrae men could just march over. And you know, I know Stuart posed you with a question as we're just watching Scott Watson take the conversion. Stuart posed you with the question earlier on, where can Melrose target? It looks like they've tried to utilise their backs. If you've not got that platform up front, it's going to be really difficult as Watson adds the extras. But this forward pack for AYR, as they always historically have been, are impressive.
Oh, they're so well drilled. They know their jobs, as I said before. I wouldn't say, Dale, that they're gargantuan, you know, compared to some of the AYR packs we've seen over the years, but they're just a unit. They're an absolute unit, all 8 of them.
Yeah, they definitely are. There's a couple of players in there that are very well put together. I think the back row as well, Purdie, Rees and McCallum.
Oh yeah, that you know, that wouldn't look out of place in the Premiership.
Definitely not. As Hutchison gets played back underway, they went shorter this time, noticing that the last couple of times it's not worked, but underneath this one, this time again is Joe Stafford. Now Rowan Purdie carries forward, and again in the challenge AYR are able to just make a couple of yards. Now Rees finds McCluskey, the ball just filtering in front of us, has just been fingered forward there by Zach Howard, the first try scorer for AYR in this game. And the ball just dribbles off field. It's going to be a throw into the line out, or potentially a line out. And I think that's a good option as well for Melrose, because they've not had a lot of joy at the scrum.
No, they've not, and they're having a lot of joy in the line out, and that should be no surprise there, because in the first game, or the earlier game in the season, Lachlan Gaddy was the absolute go-to man, and they had a lot of success there, and it looks like they have this time as well.
Gaddy, a bit unorthodox, flat back with the forearm of his outside arm, has been well gathered by Doug Crawford, but the onslaught at the ruck then comes on from AYR as they counter-attack just in the shadows of the stands here on the halfway line, and Fairbairn has to filter the ball away from that breakdown pretty early. He's managed to find Dylan Coburn, who's managed to move forward. The penalty is going to go the way of Melrose, and I think here Doug Crawford quickly looked to scamper away from that breakdown, but then put the brakes on, because noticed this is an opportunity for Hutchison to get back into the game and bring that confidence to this Melrose side and nudge them downfield.
Yeah, they've just stemmed the tide a wee bit, Melrose, haven't they? It was a smarter decision to go for the contestable kick-off by Hutchison that time, as opposed to putting it right into McCallum's breadbasket. It enabled the Melrose forwards to compete, and lo and behold, they've got the ball back and they've managed to get a bit of territory for the first time in about 15 minutes.
28 minutes gone here live on Rugby Radio. It's AYR versus Melrose, and it's AYR who have the lead here as the ball's flat back from that line out from Melrose. Well done again from the number 8, Lachlan Gaddy. Doug Crawford, who's had a very eventful game as well, manages to find Tom Brown with the heavily strapped up Tom Brown, both knees almost cast like with black tape, as Crawford then bounces forward. Good challenge in there from Adam McGowan, the scrum half, who gets across and makes the challenge. Purdie manages to tackle his opposite man, Dylan Coburn, but Doug Crawford finds Struan Hutchison, kicks forward, and Donald Crawford was just watching that ball dribble off. He protested the referee that there was an opportunity there, but from our angle he was never going to be getting that, so he could probably save his energy.
Yeah,
they've got the penalty advantage, and again Hutchison could just nudge us to the corner.
Well, I think Daly's the referee. I think I've seen him already signal to the posts, and I think for me that's a smart decision. It's a kickable penalty. Yeah, the tee's coming on, and it just sort of stems the tide a wee bit, as well as obviously give him a chance to get another 3 points on the board.
Hutchison's going to have the penalty attempt, just approaching the half-hour mark here at Millbrae, as there's almost an eerie silence here from the home side. They've enjoyed a 10-minute burst of impressive and relentless rugby from the team in pink and black, but the black and yellow of Melrose is looking to reply, and as the new scoreboard here at Millbrae starts to tick towards that half-hour mark, it gives a chance for Struan Hutchison just to narrow the margins to 2 points with this penalty attempt, his first penalty attempt of the game. An earlier successful conversion for the opening try from Craig Fairbairn. That gave Melrose a brilliant start, which was extended from Matty Bertram. They've now fallen behind, But Struan Hutchison has narrowed the margins. Right-footed kick is accurate, and it's now 17 points to 15, and Ayr are wasting no time getting to the halfway line, but good option, as you say, from Melrose to go for the posts.
Yeah, I think it was important that Melrose were from their point of view, it was important that they scored the next points, whether it was a penalty, whether it was a try. If Ayr had got the next score of any kind, then there's just just that bit of daylight starting to creep in, and the doubts of the Melrose players, who let's not forget were 17-0 to the good last week before they capitulated.
Kick-off gathered by Hutchison, who has to just kick it downfield. He makes good territory as the ball just bounces off the stand, and then back in field in the frosty area of the Millbrae pitch. A slight dusting of white frost, almost in a kind of semicircle right in front of us. The rest of the pitch looks in great condition for a field that's seen a lot of rugby over the last few weeks, with the Super Series and obviously club rugby as well. The line out, accurate there from Tom Martin, brought down is the captain in Cameron Rees, and he's now at the nucleus of that drive and maul, barking the orders as well as he stands up tall, towering over his teammates, and breaking free is the hooker Tom Martin. Back in field, Adam McGowan is there in support. He breaks free from the challenge, but he's almost been just swarmed down to ground there. The ball manages just to break round the sides there as Caleb Ray then powers forward, still pumping those legs on the 5 metre line. Ayr make good ground as Stafford towers up just to steady the platform, provide the target for his teammates to get towards, but Stafford looks like he's been bundled over the line. And a questionable moustache, but the effort was never in doubt, and Joe Stafford gets a try for Ayr. He looked like he was just setting up the target, but the power from those legs and the support from the teammates means that Ayr, after conceding a penalty, replies straight away with a try.
Oh yeah, we'll let him off with a moustache when he shows power like that. He had no right to score that try. That was brute force. He had his back to the try line. It looked like he was being driven away, but he's got, as you mentioned, he's got legs like tree trunks. He put them into full effect, and he somehow managed to power over. And there was there was forward playing there by Caleb Ray and Rowan Purdie as well. They're starting to get on top up front here.
There was a good break from Adam McGowan, who was scythed down, was the word I was trying to say, that I just couldn't get out of my mouth. But it was good defensive play from Melrose, just able to stop the scrum half scampering in for a try. But again, the support and the work rate from Ayr pays dividends. And on the 22 metre line now, Watson gets the chance to add the conversion, and it's an immaculate kicking display from the fullback so far, and he gets another conversion, and it's 24 points to 15 now. 33 minutes gone here at Millbrae, live on Rugby Radio, and Ayr in the driving seat.
I've been really impressed by how they've reacted, Dale. They won't have found themselves 12-0 down on too many occasions this season, I wouldn't have thought, but they've reacted brilliantly, and now there's daylight between the two teams.
9-point advantage on the 33-minute mark. Watson gets another conversion as Hutchison now puts boot to ball to get play back underway again. Melrose up to go short, but it's just dribbled down the chest of the Melrose players and been scooped up there by Purdie, who does well to then break free from the other challenge. That is terrible defensive play, and Stuart Hutchison's been wrong-footed in the 22, and Purdie is going to splinter the posts, dive underneath the uprights. And he was the only person pretty much to touch the ball from that kick-off. And Struan Hutchison just lost his footing on the 22, not able to defend. But again, the work rate from the outside, from the forwards, to be there just to raise questions in defence means that it made it relatively easy for Purdie, but the work rate, tremendous. 29 points to 15, Ayr lead.
Tremendous. I've spoken about him a number of times when I've seen him over the last couple of seasons. He, for me, is a tremendous player. What a turn of pace. And the rugby nous as well. Struan Hutchison is going to have to pay to get back in.
He definitely is. Yeah, a lot of the times, obviously, we know how good Struan Hutchison is. And perhaps the solitary slippy part on the ground has been found by Hutchison's right boot as he just, the kind of ground gave way underneath him.
But it was just the way that Purdie was carrying, ball in two hands, had a player outside him, caused all kinds of confusion.
It definitely did. No confusion about the conversion attempt as well, because it's successful from Watson yet again. And now that 30-point mark has been breached on 35 minutes here at Millbrae. It's Ayr 31, Melrose 15. And my prediction's now not that far off, is it?
Yeah, well, another converted try, I think, and you're laughing.
I'm laughing. Well, I won't be laughing. I don't like to see
From an egotistical point of view.
Yeah, self-indulgent point of view is Hutchison. Back up now. He kicks it high into the sky and tries to make it contestable, and plucked above his head was Joe Stafford yet again.
He's been immense.
He's almost got... I shook his hand earlier on and he had sticky mitts at the time, so I wonder whether he sprayed something on them. But that ball was never squirming free of his grasp. He's taken a dunt on the shoulder as well as the ball was further wide, and that is brilliant, powerful work there from Angus North. And powers through a couple of challenges. He's running upright as Cameron Rees works hard round the corner. He's been well defended, driven back and hoisted high by Doug Crawford and Donald Crawford. In between a Crawford sandwich there was the Ayr captain. Gives a chance for McGowan to kick downfield into the clutches of Struan Hutchison. He sizes up his options and opts to ghost back in field. Potty is there just to hammer the talismanic Melrose fly half. Coburn pivoting well with Donald Crawford. Works hard to get the ball across to Rolly Brett. Nothing happening over there as the referee signals there's a high challenge in there, so a penalty for Melrose, and I think they'll welcome that as well at this stage. It's been an impressive and positive start to the game, and there's been waves and fits of really good play from Melrose, but this just kind of takes the air out of the... Well, I can't say air. It takes the kind of pressure out of the sting of what Ayr were looking to build up there.
Yeah, it was starting to look relentless from Ayr, wasn't it? And you know, they're big performers, or their big players are having big performances so far. Pete McCallum leading the way up front, as is Joe Stafford, and yeah, it looks an uphill battle for Melrose from here.
So the bonus point already in the bag for the home side. So they've got a +1 in there. They're looking to get the full complement of 4 points as well to get the 5 points and continue their surge towards the Premiership. Melrose from the line out look to get the ball into the hands of Brett and then find Donald Crawford, who will be a welcomed addition to this side after a long stint in Super Series. The ball then spun out wide and it's been well gathered by Lachlan Gaddy. Manages just to break free from the challenge of Cameron Rees, and Doug Crawford now travels with the ball, finds the space and looks to just bounce back in field. He's been well defended there by his opposite number, Adam McGowan, who had to get back across the field just to close down the wandering Melrose scrum half. Crawford that gets there, he finds Gaddy, the player who probably ignited this passage of play. Rolly Brett is driven towards the ground as he sized up his options, but Crawford does well to dig the ball out. Hutchison finds it. Donald Crawford now, he's eating up the ground. He's got a 2-on-1 here. He's got an opportunity 2-on-1 to find Kieran Clark, and he's going to go in for a try in Melrose and narrow the margins. They're not done and dusted yet, and Kieran Clark just goes underneath the uprights for a Melrose try. And Melrose again able to just find the opportunities, but it's all coming in the backs and keeping the game ticking and keeping it at a high tempo.
And that's what they can do when they put their mind to it. Great play in there by both the Crawford brothers, and it started with Lachlan Gaddy, the number 8. I've been pretty impressed with him this afternoon, both in the line out and in the loose, and Melrose have clawed their way, or clawed some of the daylight back anyway. And again, we're back in that place where, you know, they'll be whoever scores next essentially.
Hutchison taking his time with the conversion attempt, because I think he's asking the referee if it's coming up to half time. But Kieran Clark, I would say, at 38 minutes gone, that's potentially his first real involvement in this game, as opposed to his opposite number, Scott Watson.
Yeah.
And it does look like McCluskey is going to be coming off as well, because he's just been escorted off the field. As Hutchison takes his time with the conversion attempt, right-footed strike, just dinks it over. Conversion successful. We've still got time in the first half here. 31 points to 22, and we have been spoilt for tries and action in this first half.
Been a really good game so far. A lot of tries. Defence optional at some points in proceedings, but we'll take that all day long. Great conditions really. It's very cold, but there's not a breath of wind. Nice and dry, firm underfoot. So yeah, long may the scoring continue.
Watson kicks it downfield, and breaking free was Craig Fairbairn, who certainly looks like he's got a point to prove in this game. Hutchison looking to get the ball wide again, and Crawford tips the ball on to Kieran Clark, and he has now burst into life as he scampers back in field, but he's been well defended. Now Doug Crawford gives the ball to Gaddy. Gaddy's found Hutchison, who's got Rolly Brett there. It's actually Dylan Coburn who was carrying forward. Lachlan Gaddy yet again, working hard round the corner. The ball tucked close to his chest as Hutchison just sits in the pocket and kicks it downfield. Waiting behind there is Adam McGowan in the fullback position. A little hop, skip and a jump, and looks to size up his options, and one of them is to run straight into the chest of Finn Barry. The referee signalling that there's a penalty advantage coming. And a little wily scrum half just spotted the Twin Towers in front of him, thought he could try and splinter in between them, but he's bought the penalty. And AYR have got a chance here. And Joe Stafford, dry smile on his face, looked to try and go quickly, but I think him of all people, I think he was happy to see that it wasn't an opportunity to go quickly. A little bit of chat back there from Finn Barry, and
I think he's unlucky there, Dale. He looked exasperated. I didn't see all that much by way of dissent there from the Australian prop, but he's been marched back 10 nonetheless, and it just gives that little bit more onus to AYR.
The fish thought otherwise.
Yeah,
he was not happy with the chat back there from Finn Barry, which means that AYR, from that penalty on a halfway line, an acute angle, thinking about, can we run down this clock or will we just kick it off, get 10 metres, and now they're on the 22 metre line with an attacking opportunity. You can see that Ben Frame is on the pitch for Danny McCluskey. A little reshuffle as well in that back division. Ben Frame is going to go to scrum half. Another penalty coming the way of the home side. Ben Frame just shouting the orders at that driving maul. Perhaps not making as much ground as before, as easy as it did before, but it's certainly creeping towards that. The try line. Finn Barry arrives with the ball on the scene, but the referee is saying that Finn Barry has came from an offside position. Another chance for AYR to kick to the corner, and you would imagine when Struan Hutchison's asking the question about time and trying to take his time with the conversion, this is the exact sort of scenario he was trying to avoid.
Yeah, I think he was trying to take the full minute available to him to try and get down the half-time tunnel without conceding any additional points to AYR, but they're going to do well to hold out before half-time here, Melrose.
Tom Martin, ball above his head, throws in, finds his captain Cameron Rees. It's been brought down well, and again that maul starts ticking because it's in the hands of Martin now, and a couple of backs arrive on the scene to try and add their weight and their effort to this driving maul. It is splintered forward and it's down eventually. The referee Lee Fish has spotted that the ball has been grounded, and getting up with the ball in hand is the hooker Tom Martin, and he's getting the slaps on the back. But again, like you said earlier on in the game, Robin, it's a forwards effort there in that driving maul.
It certainly was. Another textbook rolling maul, driving maul from the 5 metre line, almost undefendable in this day and age, let's be honest, Dale, with the way the laws are nowadays, but you still need to execute it, and that's what they've done on more than one occasion. It's been a real weapon for them this afternoon, that facet of the game.
Another stab at the posts here for Scott Watson, who's had an immaculate kicking display so far. 4 conversions, 1 penalty. This is his 5th attempt as the AYR players just gather directly in front of us. They're having a little conversation led by Captain Cameron Rees, hunched over. Very, very animated as well. You see the importance of this game. It is a historic fixture in the Scottish rugby landscape, perhaps with a slightly different tinge on it, is Watson now on the 22 metre line. Lines it up and never in doubt, right-footed kick, full 2 points there, and it means at half-time AYR go down the tunnel, 38 points to 22 in the lead. It's a handsome advantage, but the way that this game has gone, Robin, you wouldn't argue that we're going to see as an eventful a second half when both teams return to the pitch.
Well, here's hoping, Dale, because that was an absolutely tremendous half of rugby, free-flowing stuff in great conditions. AYR went behind quickly earlier on, and we started to think even early doors, is there an upset on the cards here? Melrose looked like they'd come to play, but AYR very quickly found their way back into the encounter, and particularly up front they've been savage on Melrose.
Melrose were able to get off the grid pretty quickly. Their start was impressive, with AYR slightly stalling in the opening 10 minutes, but they started to go through the gears and eventually they managed to take a commanding lead. But Melrose still on their coattails here at Millbrae. They're not dead and buried yet because they still have a chance. They've shown they can score tries out wide, but it's the industry up front which has given AYR a very comfortable lead here in National 1 live on Rugby Radio, because at half time here at Millbrae It's AYR 38, Melrose 22.
Wow, just the 60 points in the first half. We can't wait for the second. Remember, of course, going back to early in the season at Philiphaugh when we had 100 points. Well, we only need 40 in the second half to beat that, but very entertaining, and certainly for the neutral, that's for sure. And anyone's game still, AYR 38, Melrose 22. Let's go into the Premiership then, and Sam Matthews is waiting for us there at Philiphaugh. It's Selkirk against Mar.
Half-time at Philiphaugh, and the home side head into the sheds 5 points behind. Score currently Selkirk 12, Mar 17. Mar started off the stronger with 2 unanswered tries through Jake Jacobson and Alex Anthorpe, but then Josh Welsh, number 11 for Selkirk, got a brace to get his side back in it. A missed conversion apiece made the scores 12-all at that point, and 35 minutes on the clock. Mar got themselves back in front through their number 8 Blair Jardine. An impressive break from the midfield, had about 25 metres of open space and just coasted in, taking the boys into the sheds at the score. Selkirk 12, Mar 17.
It's all over at Golden Acre. It's Heriots Blues 21, Curry 29. That means Heriots go away with absolutely nothing. Curry get all 5 points in that game. It's half-time at Mansfield Park. Hoyk 21, Edinburgh Accies 10. 3 tries for Hoyk in the first half. Musselburgh against Jed Forest. Half-time there, another high-scoring affair. Musselburgh 34, Jed Forest 10. We've just heard from Sam Matthews, Selkirk 12, Mar 17. We'll try and get a half-time report for you from Stony Hill very shortly. International 1, as we've found out here, it's AYR 38, Melrose 22 at the breaks. Plenty of great tries to enjoy tomorrow on Borders Rugby Television. Look forward to watching that back. Also in National 1, it's Watsonians 22, Dundee 17 at the moment. Watsonians 3 tries, Dundee 3 tries as well. So maybe the bonus point coming their way in the second half. Into National 2, and it's ended Falkirk 52, Stuart's Melville 10. So all 5 points going to Falkirk, who go top of the table. But don't forget, there's a 3 o'clock kickoff at the Gites between Peebles and Aberdeen Grammar, and it's currently Peebles in front at the break by 15 points to 8. A Ross Brown try, but Aberdeen Grammar at the bottom of the table putting up a bit of a fight, currently in losing bonus territory. 15-8 to Peebles at the break. And heartbreak for Berwick. They were ahead 26-5 in this game. They've lost at Beveridge Park. It's Kirkcaldy 50, Berwick 31, so just 1 try bonus point for Berwick in the bottom of the table. Will they be able to get hauled back by Aberdeen Grammar today? We shall find out soon. There's a full time in National 4. Don't forget, no National 3 fixtures today. It's their day off. Strathmore 31, Perthshire 13, that one going to form. Strathmore in second place, Perthshire in 9th, 31-13 there. And a tremendous win in East League 1 for Langham, who've beaten one of the form sides, Haddington, by 15 points to 10 at Milltown. That's a great result for them. Duns 3, Dunbar 60 is a final result in East League 2. And also in East League 2, it's Hoyt Lindeen 13, Christophan 15. That's a full-time result in the Borders. Well, more rugby for you very, very shortly.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio. Borders College is your local community college with qualifications recognised and valued by employers. To find out more, visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
I want to talk to you. The last time we talked, Mr. Smith, you reduced me to tears. I promise you it won't happen again.
Do I attract you? Do I repulse you with my queasy smile? Am I too dirty? Am I too flirty? Do I like what you like? I could be wholesome, I could be loathsome, guess I'm a little bit shy. Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me without making me try? I try to be like Grace Kelly, but all her looks were too sad. So I tried a little Freddie. I've got an entity mind. Tried a little Freddie. I've got an entity mind. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be purple, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. Gotta be green, gotta be mean, gotta be everything more. Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? So walk out the door. Say what you want to satisfy yourself.
Music from Mika. Welcome back to Millbrae. We're just about to start the second half. Let's return to Dale Clancy and Robin Purdie.
Stuart Hutchison about to get play underway, and I've never welcomed the end of a Mika song as much as that in my life. So thank you, Stuart Hutchison, for kicking the second half off early here as AYR are looking to try and break free from inside their own half. It's scrum half. Adam McGowan just feeds the ball back downfield into Ben Frame's hands. A little bit of a reshuffle in that back division as Stuart Hutchison returns the ball downfield. And he's measured that brilliantly because he's just been able to bounce that, perhaps on the wrong side of the line actually, because he was looking for that 50-22, but a great return downfield, and again it's looking slippy underfoot out there.
Yeah, and we'll let him off with it not being a 50-22 given where he was positioned in his own half where he kicked it. But yeah, this is a real test of Melrose's mettle now for me, Dale. They've had a couple of capitulations this season. It'll be interesting to see who scores first, because Melrose could fight their way back into this, but they could be staring down the barrel as well.
Will Ferry as a replacement for Melrose at half time. I'll bring you any other changes as we see them here at Millbrae. Just a reminder, 38 points to 22. AYR currently lead, and they've broken free from the line out. Potty is the player to just head it away from that line out. Joe Stafford lurking in the wider channels, carries forward and presents the ball back. The referee again signalling an advantage from that passage of play. McGowan links up well there with Rees, who's, again, you just feel like these Ayr players are absolutely everywhere. You're saying the names at the same time because Potty's back on the ball now. He goes forward, he's been well marshalled by McKendy. Now breaking through is Caleb Bray, a powerful tight head, and manages just to take on the Melrose defence on his own. His scrum half, Adam McGowan, has been scragged on the 10-metre line, but the penalty is going to come back for the home side as darkness starts to encroach us here on the west coast. The lights on now at Millbrae, just flooding the field in front of us. The three pylons just directly opposite the main stand, starting to illuminate the pitch as the penalty downfield doesn't go into touch because it's been gathered by Matty Bertram. He's got the ball in two hands and he evades the first couple of challenges. Great footwork to evade Potty, a player who doesn't miss many challenges. Now Doug Crawford finds Hutchison, who's got the ball wider into the hands of James Brown, and he has been absolutely clattered. He's been hoisted high pretty quickly and then brought back down to the ground. The ball just ricocheting and going in between all the legs of the players. It's then eventually ended up into the feet of Lachlan Gaddy. McGowan gets well back on the 10-metre line and an expert offload as well into the hands of Angus North, who goes down the touchline. The ball just been flung back into play. McCluskey, who is now back on the field as fly half, has managed to feed Potty. He notices that he needs a turgid forward to perhaps steady the ship. Another one in the shape of Joe Stafford is there, cowped on his back, but he's able to present the ball back with his left arm. The relatively clean jersey of Harry Lynch feeding a little bit wider as well, asking the forwards just to set up the platform and narrow this Melrose defence. It's been hacked through from Melrose, so the penalty is going to go to the home side, and you can't hear it on the radio. I can hear it beside me. There was a little shake of the head there from Robin Purdie, and perhaps a little bit frustrated at probably the lack of maturity there from Melrose at the breakdown.
Yeah, I think so, Dale. Just a cheap penalty to give away. To be honest, needless, silly, and it'll give McCluskey, or is it going to be Scott Watson to step forward? Scott Watson's going to step forward and put it down deep into Melrose territory now, and they've got a defensive job on their hands. But I think it's a good substitution they've made to bring Will Ferry on at half time. He's coming back from injury, but he's a big lad and he's got a bit of grunt about him as well, and they need to try and get some kind of parity up front.
Line out attempt. Tom Martin, the last try scorer in the first half, again finds Rees as captain, and then the Melrose forwards pack down, and at the tail of that is Joe Stafford. And there's been 3 occasions we've seen that driving maul, and the ball has been driven at the back by a different individual each time. The ball presented back and just laid on a plate there for the scrum half McGowan, and then it just engulfs back into the body of the driving maul because it's creeping forward, it's getting closer to that line, and eventually the body's flopped down and it's been grounded there, and it looks like Angus North is perhaps the player who got the try. A little huddle with Joe Stafford, and the inside centre reaps the rewards of some brilliant work up front from Ayr, and they stretch their lead here, 43 points to 22 with 5 minutes gone in the second half.
Just too dominant up front, Dale. Too easy for them. Like I said before, silly penalty for me given away by Melrose. Gave Ayr the opportunity to kick it down towards the corner and just bully Melrose from there, to be honest. And as I said before, it's even more of a test of Melrose's mettle now.
This is a big sliding doors moment for both of these clubs, you would imagine. Both sides for the last couple of decades have exchanged Premiership trophies and Scottish Cups, and they're two of the most decorated sides and clubs in Scottish rugby history, and they're in slightly different paths at the moment. Their lanes are completely different, and Melrose obviously on the other end of a deficit at the moment. They suffered a heavy defeat at home. Ayr look like they've managed to come to terms with life with a Super Series club relatively quicker than what Melrose have, as the conversion attempt from Watson goes between the uprights. Still an impeccable kicking display from the fullback, but this is almost a landmark moment for both sides, because it could be a while before we see them compete against each other again.
Yeah, and they've had some good ding-dongs in this division over the last 2 years, but yeah, Ayr are cantering towards the Premiership where they will play next season, and you wonder how long it will take Melrose, because there's just, as you say, there's just a difference between these two clubs at the moment, and one of those on the field just now is Joe Stafford, who has been gargantuan.
Yeah, but 30, he'll be about 36-year-old, and he's playing like he's a fresh-faced 18-year-old. Is siding through now is Harry Lynch, and he's got the cleanest stop in the park, but if he can run like that, then you can almost let him away with it. But the ball is now just went off the field of play, and that's again a break, but it comes back to that restart. Melrose have tried to go deep, and then they've allowed Pete McCallum to run onto the ball. They've tried to go short, and each time Joe Stafford just plucks the ball from above his head. They're not able to find the best way forward to try and get the ball back and compete at the kickoff.
Yeah, and Stafford's taking the ball high above his head from a standing start as well, and he's able to make 10-15 metres quite comfortably. He's just playing out of his skin this afternoon, but he's being allowed to.
Stafford over the ball, he makes a challenge on Coburn, and he is there over the ball, clenched fist now, because he's celebrating the penalty that he's just won for his side. Dylan Coburn guilty of holding on there, perhaps getting a little bit too wide from that line out, and it's going to give Watson a chance just to kick downfield, and AYR are sniffing opportunities and tries here, and that's a inch perfect kick off the field from the fullback, and yeah, AYR are purring.
They are indeed, and you can gamble on going so close to the corner flag, if you like, from the resulting penalty when you've got this deficit. That was a brilliant kick.
Martin to throw into the line out. His feet just encroaching that whitewash there. He lofts it in, and Cameron Rees brings it down to ground. Melrose try and sack it early, but Purdie just splinters through and grounds the ball, and it is relentless from this AYR forward pack. It's borderline bullying from this side, and Purdie gets his second try of the game, and now AYR have breached that all-important 50 mark. 50 points to 22. They take a commanding lead here.
And again, we're going to sound like a broken record here, Dale. It was just a carbon copy of what's gone before. Different player at the base of it. That man, Purdie, another player who's been outstanding so far this afternoon, and again, just too easy.
Far too easy for AYR, but impressive, and it's
hugely impressive.
And you know something, it's a passage of play which I've covered a few of the Ayrshire Bulls games this season, and in the past as well. And you know, AYR games in the past as Purdie is withdrawn and replaced by Rudy Arley, but it shows the club mentality that they have here at Millbrae. I'm almost in awe of them.
Yeah.
But it's a signature of what this club is all about. It replicates no matter what side you're watching.
Definitely. This for me, and you know, got to be careful not get swept along with a bit of hyperbole on the back of a performance like this. But for me, this place is the blueprint for Scottish club rugby.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't think it's you're over egging the pudding whatsoever. As Elliot Ruthven comes onto the pitch, the first conversion attempt missed for Scott Watson this afternoon as well. But this is almost the mecca of Scottish club rugby, and in years gone by we've seen the likes of Heriots, Melrose, AYR, Boroughmuir as well, and Hawick all compete for championships, and AYR are wanting to get back in that conversation yet again. And to do that, they've got to get their hands round the National 1 title, and they are coasting towards doing that. And again, breaking free from the kick-off. Look to try and get the ball into the hands of AYR, but not able to. The ball just ricocheting forward off of a Melrose hand after an impressive break there from Angus Troop yet again. Those second rows have been working relentlessly for AYR this evening.
Ball by AYR, scrum Melrose.
And it's going to be a scrum to Melrose, sorry. The ball just flat forward from AYR. And Melrose will enjoy the first real opportunity with the ball in hand. 10 minutes into the second half. AYR 50 points to 22, they lead.
Yeah, first bit of possession of any kind for Melrose in this second half. AYR's probably only real danger there is just getting a wee bit fast and loose, as was the case there. It was a good initial break by the big second rower Troop, but he just looked for an offload which maybe wasn't on the cards, and it just gives Melrose that bit of a sniff.
Lee Fish watching over this scrum as it's put in steadily, and it's very steady, the scrum itself, as Rolly Brett is deployed from inside centre, and then he's marshalled pretty well as the first real industrious carry for Will Ferry, who's a second half replacement. He charges forward, and he's also just encroached and asked that defensive line to come forward a little bit too much because they've won the penalty. Now Elliot Ruthven carries forward onto the 22-metre line. The ball just floated into the hands of Struan Hutchison. He just looks to dribble the ball over the top, but it's well gathered in the backfield. Hacked downfield, but the penalty coming. That was a good clearance kick as well, so Ayr will be slightly miffed that that's not been allowed to play, but the penalty is going to go the way of Melrose for not retreating 10, and a chance here, you did say about character, a chance here to enjoy some pressure inside the Ayr territory.
Yeah, they'll go to the corner here, Melrose, surely, and they'll be looking to see if they can do an Ayr in the resulting line-out.
Hutchison, job one is ticked off.
The second time he's just kicked it away, so I can't.
So he's managed to get the ball off the field. As we're just listening to Lee Fish have a bit of a conversation with the Melrose players. Finn Barry makes his way to the touchline. Ball again hoisted above his head, sizing up his targets. He manages to find Lachlan Gaddy. It's been brought down. The maul is now driving back the way, but Melrose, I think, happy to relinquish a bit of territory to settle the nerves and get that steady platform. Doug Crawford with hands on the ball. He's at the side of that driving maul as the Ayr players are making an absolute mess of this. The penalty is going to come the way of Melrose because Joe Stafford has been penalised for coming in at the side. They look to have defended that pretty well, but Melrose have got the penalty. And you've got to say, potentially that might be the first error of Joe Stafford's made this afternoon. As Crawford kicks the ball off, it's going to be a press of the reset button and they're going to go again from this line out. Finn Barry gets the ball off of the ball boy on the stand side here at Millbrae, a very frosty Millbrae. It's been slightly lit up by this Ayr play, and from that the throw into the line out, Finn Barry has just thrown it to the outside shoulder, and it's interesting because you did say about a test of character, and it's going to be a level as to where Melrose are, and in those important areas, that's what keeps you in these games.
That's a difference, Dale. Ayr have the same line out, absolutely guarantee they're going to score a try from it, and Melrose have coughed that up. It was a chance to, you know, if they'd got to 27, 29 points, there's still a glimmer of hope.
Scrum down. Ayr on their own 5 metre line. The impressive scrum half, Adam McGowan, just waiting by the tunnel. He throws it into what he knows is one of the most secure platforms in this division. Pete McCallum finds the most recent try scorer Angus North, just heading from the centre position, but the referee signals that there's a penalty there. And I do wonder whether Lachlan Gaddy wants to go quickly. There's a hole there if he can puncture through it, and he does just that, bounces off the challenges. And yet, they made hard work of it. They weren't able to execute from the line out, but Lachlan Gaddy just took it by the scruff of his neck and powered forward and gets a try for Melrose, and now it's 50 points to 27 here at Millbrae.
They got a second bite at the cherry because I think it was Angus North had taken on the crash ball. He was tackled. Ayr bench firmly believed he let go of it and picked it up and went again, but the referee disagreed, gave Melrose that second crack at it, and I think that's a deserved try for Lachlan Gaddy. He's been one of the few shining lights for Melrose so far this afternoon.
Replacement of Rudy Sace coming on for Ayr, and that is the bonus point try for Melrose as well. And in front of us there is going to be another replacement for Ayr. I would imagine that's going to be in the backs as we watch Struan Hutchison just line up a conversion attempt, left hand side of the uprights, and it's just curving to the left hand side of the posts. So it's not the full complement of 7 points for Melrose, but it's a glimmer of hope in this game because Ayr currently lead 50 points to 27, and we've played 54 minutes here at Millbrae, and it's going to be a few replacements coming on for Ayr.
Whilst that's happening, so I'll quickly update you. Heriots Blues 21, Purdie 29 is a full-time score. Hawick 26, Edinburgh Accies 13. Bonus point for Hawick at Mansfield Park. Musselburgh 44, Jed Forest 10, and Selkirk 12, Mar 31, also with the bonus point.
Watson hacks it downfield, and it's one of the probably not the most attractive restarts, but great play from their own 22 from Melrose. The ball ricocheting now into the hands of Lachlan Gaddy. He looks to hack it downfield, and he's just kicked it out in the full, but it was only a chip and chase. But from that restart, Melrose doing well just to interlink and keep the ball alive. The likes of Crawford and Hutchison linking up well, as Pete McCallum and Donald Crawford have a little conversation as they all make their way to this next passage of play. But that's a little bit more impressive there from Melrose.
Yeah, they took the kick off and they run it back pretty well. That man Gaddy heavily involved again, and yeah, I think big relief for Melrose here is Joe Stafford's come to the touchline for Ayr.
Stuart Collier managing to find his target, and I can't believe I was wrong. He looked like a scrum half or a back three player, but he's packing down at hooker, a replacement for Tom Martin in that front row. Joe Stafford also off, as Robin Purdie alluded to there. Lincoln play as Cameron Rees feeds a teammate on the halfway line. Pete McCallum is there in support as well, as McGowan finds McCluskey. Enter Lincoln play, and then peeling round the side as the wingers working hard off their wing, because Tom Lanny and Zach Howard have interlinked on the far side here at Millbrae. The penalty coming for Ayr because the referee has spotted an infringement, so Melrose centre field have given away a penalty to allow Ayr the opportunity to kick downfield. But again, good reaction from Ayr. It's a high challenge by Melrose, and they still hold a commanding lead here, but there is little glimmers. You would imagine another try for Melrose would give them some hope in this game, but there's the danger that Ayr are yet to find that consistency and click through the gears and grab this great game by the scruff of the neck too.
Yeah, and Melrose will need to throw everything at it now, which could, lead to them playing fast and loose and just leaving those gaps there should it not come off. It's a squad game now, as we know, Dale, and the benches are going to have an impact.
Thrown to the line out, well executed yet again, and the referee has spotted an infringement straight away from that line out. Arm outstretched on the right hand side, signalling to this partisan Millbrae support that they have got a penalty advantage coming their way. The ball to North. He carries forward and flops on the ball, and no support there, but they're quick to get the ball away from the breakdown. McCluskey finds Watson, and he just fires a ball wide to Zach Howard, and he then manages just to breach by Bertram, and now he's got a 2-on-1. He looks to go alone, and he's going to squeeze him in the corner, and he's going to go in for a brace here, and Zach Howard gets his second try. And it's loose defensive play there from Melrose. The advantage was coming for the home side, and they make it count by travelling out wide, and Zach Howard was just able to just shake off a couple of loose challenges there from Melrose.
Yeah, I think you're being pretty kind with the word loose there, Dale. It was you had no right to score there. Howard, the ball sort of came to him behind him. He had no opportunity to get up any sort of pace. But yeah, just a little bit of strength then down the touchline. You evaded the last tackler as well, and Ayr heading towards 60.
You did perhaps allude to that off air, that it was the reaction would pretty much dictate the way that this game has gone, and perhaps the not being provided with the opportunity to react in the way that they wanted Melrose has led that it's gone in the way that Ayr are staring down the 60-point mark. 59 minutes gone here. We're almost at the hour. We've got a quarter of the game left, and it's 55 points to 27. The Ayr are currently in the lead. A conversion attempt out wide. Watson with one miss so far this afternoon. Takes his time. Right-footed kick, keeps his head down, and it's curling towards the uprights, and it just falls short. No wind to speak of here at Millbrae, just not got the legs on it. So it's two misses for the fullback, but I think he'll be happy with his kicking display so far, and especially the platform that he's been allowed those opportunities from his teammates.
Yeah, he's kicked very well this afternoon. Watson, he can be very pleased with his efforts.
Struan Hutchison bounces the ball on the halfway line, and then right-footed kick just hoists it into this darkened sky here at Millbrae. It's a little bit of a mess there from that restart as all the teams look to try and gather the ball. All the players there looking to get their hands on that ball, and it was just rolling over backs and arms and feet. And then the scrum down has been awarded to Ayr. And I think perhaps we're going to get a little bit of confirmation that the two wingers in Ayr colours, who look very similar, might have swapped numbers, so Zach Howard might not be having as good a game as I've alluded to.
Oh, is that potentially Tom Lanny? Just the curse of the commentator, Dale.
Curse of the squad numbers.
Aye, late. Our number changes.
Our good friend Stuart McFarlane will be fizzing at that. The number 11 there is Tom Lanny. So apologies, Tom. I've given the two tries to Zach Howard, but they are definitely yours, my friend. You can have them. So Tom Lanny got the score underway. The try is underway for Ayr in the first half on 14 minutes, and he got our most recent try as well on the hour mark.
Bang on the body.
So a slight change there for the squad numbers. If it's not a winger, it was going to be a second row this afternoon, wasn't it, Robin?
Yeah, it always tends to be the wingers or the second rows. Dale, I think they have a look in the mirror just pre-kick-off and decide whether the tops look tight enough or not tight enough, and then potentially swap.
I would hate to still be playing. I don't know what number I would have in my back. The scrum from Ayr, the driving forward. There's no doubt about the effort in that pack. And squad numbers are not. There was only going to be one outcome there. And the constant grin on the face of Pete McCallum this afternoon certainly gestures to how this game has gone for his side, a club that he has served so well over the years and is still serving in that set piece. That scrum from Melrose just obliterated by the pink and black onslaught as they kick off field and don't make as much in the way of territory, but they've got a throw into the line out directly in front of us, and I was given a chance for Ayr perhaps to just use a few of their subs a little bit earlier than they potentially had hoped.
Yeah, they have. Dale, you're right. I don't think it weakens them too much, however.
Where are you? All the way back.
At the tail of the line out. It's not gathered cleanly because it's just been tipped forward there by Purdie early.
Please, can you ask your players just to calm down a little bit and stop telling me what to do? I've told him and he's going backwards. We're restarting with your for the knock-on.
Referee just signalling there to Angus Runciman that he's needing the Melrose players just to watch their tempers, and that's when frustration creeps in, and that can be a dangerous thing, especially if you're giving away needless penalties.
Oh, definitely, because Ayr are going to send them down the touchline and then they're going to get 20 or 30 metres from the driving goal.
Scrum put in there, and it's a chance for Melrose to pop in, and it's Doug Crawford, and it's been popped up by Gaddy to go against the blind side, and Hutchison is lurking there. He's got James Brown for support on the 10-metre line, but he doesn't need him because he's been shackled well, and now Gaddy yet again powering forward looking to get that free arm. He's had an impressive afternoon in a one-sided game, and now the second real carry for McKendy, the Canadian front row, and another clattering and thunderous challenge in midfield. Has found Gaddy and holding on the deck. Lachlan Gaddy has been penalised, and Angus Runciman looked to go quickly. Another 10 metres there, and this is exactly what we were speaking about 30 seconds ago, Robin. Ill-discipline creeping into the Melrose team.
I make that 13 penalties conceded by Melrose now, and I think that's the second time they've conceded 10 metres as well for a wee bit of indiscretion after the whistle had gone. Just accept the decision and get on with it, because as predicted, Ayr have put that to the touchline, albeit it's just outside the 22, but you wouldn't put it past them rumbling one over from here.
Definitely not. There's a fair bit of distance to go just outside the 22, but the way that this forward pack are ticking this afternoon, that driving maul has had a full service and passed its MOT, certainly, because it is in a great bill of health. Stuart Collier throws into the line out, he goes to the middle. Cameron Rees is there, the referee saying nothing wrong with that because the Ayr players have all congregated, and as you rightly predicted, it is charging forward, but the referee
He's unengaged. No, wasn't. He's unengaged.
Spotted there.
I did think I seen just a little bit of disengagement there before they pulled it back together again. Good refereeing that for me.
He certainly signalled early on that he was happy with the way that line out had went, and then it brought it back. So good officiating from Lee Fish. So it's going to be a put into the scrum, and you'd say here as well, Melrose certainly aren't out of the woods yet, because that scrum's been ticking for Ayr as well.
Oh, it has. They've just been so superior up front this afternoon. All the facets of the game, the set piece, the contact area, the carrying, the gain line success. It's just been almost a complete performance by the Ayr forwards.
Put into the scrum on the 22, Doug Crawford. Waits, spinning the ball in both hands as an opposite number, Adam McGowan, just lucks behind him. Hutchison gets the ball first, and then in the hands of Crawford. Rolly Brett is rolling out the back and offering himself up on a loop and run, but the Ayr players are there trying to make a fist of it on the floor in the wider channels, and Gaddy does well to try and break a free arm. The ball has went backwards, so Elliot Ruthven gets an opportunity to try and drive the legs and power out of the challenges. Does well initially as Rolly Brett looks to try and find Robinson, and that ball has been snaffled there by Ayr, who then have the opportunity to try and go a little bit wider, but Rudy Sace just bounces off his left leg back in field to where the support is, but Finn Barry does well to rip the ball free of the challenge, but the referee has signalled there's a penalty there for not releasing. Runciman still gesturing with the referee about that decision, but it is another penalty for Ayr, right in front of the uprights as we are watching Ayr versus Melrose here live on Rugby Radio. 66 minutes gone, 55 points to 27 Ayr lead. It's been an entertaining game. There's been loads of opportunities for both sides. Porous defence on occasion too, and Ayr get the chance to kick downfield, and it is going to be Stuart Collier to throw into the line out. Bit of movement at the front and then towards the tail. Again, well gathered. It is Airlie who is the target this time, and that maul is rumbling towards, and I think Angus North perhaps gets a sniff of a second try because he has joined the party and he's almost spoiled it. I think it's actually Stuart Collier who's the player who is getting the pats on the back, aided well by Angus North, but is the replacement hooker Stuart Collier to get the score, and it means that Ayr now have breached the 60-point mark here at Millbrae. It's Ayr 60, Melrose 27.
It's one thing, Dale, knowing what they're going to do. It's quite a different thing to stop what they're going to do, and I don't know how many of those we've seen this afternoon. Kick towards the corner, taken cleanly, maul it forward, flop over the line as easy as you like.
We've seen different try scorers in them, certainly, because we've seen McCallum, we've seen Potty, we've seen Collier, and we've seen North, so we've at least seen 4 of them. And it's maybe not the best passage of play for the neutral, but it's when it's well executed like that, the rugby purists reap that in.
No, it's a thing of beauty.
It's really impressive to see, especially with all the changes that Ayr have rolled out from the bench. More of them have come on now as the conversion attempt just outside the 22. Splits the Kinlan. So Watson gets his second conversion of the second half. He's missed 2, but he means he gets this one to take it to 62 points to 27. And we've got about 10 minutes left of this game, and you wouldn't bet against Ayr increasing that lead, and Melrose on occasion as well. You wouldn't argue against them perhaps getting some more points in this game. The likes of Gaddy have been impressive, Fairbairn in the back row as well, along with Doug Crawford and certainly Donald Crawford as well. Have been impressive players for Melrose, but just outclassed. And from that restart,
discipline.
Airlie has just been clattered before his feet come back in contact with the ground as Morgan Leatherbarrow carries forward. A knock on in midfield from North, but the referee's going to come back for that penalty. And yet, talk us through that bit there, Robin.
Yeah, just needless, absolutely needless, Dale. He was so clearly in there as the recipient of the kickoff there. Just let his toes touch the ground and then smash him into next week. Don't hit him early, and you know, it's just needless. It's exasperating.
From the kickoffs, it's been an area that Melrose haven't really
kicked
from at all.
Yeah,
and there, you know, in terms of rugby percentages, you kick off, you just get it shy of the 10-metre line. You're then clattering, giving away a penalty, and now the game has been taken towards the Melrose 22. Jake Fairley on the field for Melrose as well. Number 17 on his back. Ben Frame back on. So the replacements almost all rolled out as another accurate line out has been hit there, but the referee
transferred the ball before the maul is formed.
Has signalled that the transfer of the ball was before they'd set up that driving maul. So it's going to be a scrum put in for Melrose. if anything, it just eats time out of this clock and takes a bit of sting out of the passage of play from Ayr, because they have been impressive, and you would argue as well that in the way that they've played, they wouldn't be out of place in the Premiership at the moment.
No, I think they'll do a Kelso next season. I think they'll come up and they'll find their feet reasonably quickly, and they'll establish themselves. And there'll be players potentially that are not going to play Super Six that will come back and play for the club team now that they're going to be in the Premier. So yeah, I think they can look forward to next season. I certainly don't see them being whipping boys, put it that way.
And Doug Crawford's about to put the ball into this scrum, because my next question's perhaps a bit loaded, as Crawford passes the ball to Hutchison and then on to the other Crawford, Donald Crawford this time. He's been well defended by Harry Lynch. The ball almost squirming out of that breakdown there, but Melrose do well to settle it, and Lachlan Gaddy, who has been in imperious form in this game, I've been really impressed with the number 8, is able just to steady the ball down. But Crawford pirouettes himself into danger. The referee got on the road. He's going to be put into the scrum for Melrose, and we're talking about life next year for Ayr. What about life next year for Melrose?
Oh, it's a good question, Dale. It's a really good question. I think a club with the stature, or are we expecting too much from? But for me, a club with the stature of Melrose should have found their feet now post Super 6. They've had long enough to think about that, long enough to plan for it, long enough to work their way around it. Club with the stature of Melrose need to be in the Premiership, and they're not going to do it this season. Next season, they need to do it absolutely at all costs. Whatever it takes, take the Sevens money, go to the Southern Hemisphere, whatever it takes, they've got to come up next season. They need to do an Ayr.
Very hard to argue with that there, especially the opening part of a club of Melrose's ilk, the attraction that it has, the identity that it's had in the past as well. They're finding the terrain pretty tough after the birth of Super Series, as Rolly Brett kicks it downfield left-footed, and I'll tell you what, that is an absolute monster of a kick from the inside centre. He just swung at it pretty fast and loose, and he's found a great bit of turf, and he's a player as well that's been unlucky with injury, but great to see him getting a run of games this season. And I think that partnership with Donald Crawford could be one of those partnerships that could lay a pretty decent foundation for their surge next year, because certainly the gulf between these two sides at the end of this game is going to be 24 points in the league, 62 points to 27 in this fixture so far. As Collier throws in, it's over the head of absolutely everybody, but being gathered by Leatherbarrow, who's been clattered in the back as well, but his front row partner Rudy Sace just hairs it away from the line out as Ayr look to stretch the field. They find some gaps in the Melrose defence, and digging about in that breakdown is Ben Frame. It's then stabbed forward by Watson, and then running onto this. There's a couple of Ayr players. One of them is Tom Lanny, and 2 tries already in this game. Zach Howard is opposite his teammate on the opposite wing, with none so far, even though it did give him 2 because of a shirt swap in the game. But Ayr benefit from the penalty here. We've got 7 minutes left in this game. Ayr get the penalty attempt and just curl it off the field over the wall on the side adjacent from the stand.
It's on the line, please, on the 10.
There's going to be a throw into the line out in the 10 metre line. And it's perhaps just a matter of getting some, going through the kind of motions here for Ayr, going through passages of play. Melrose are going to have to front up and perhaps try and get something from this game. They've already got the bonus point, but it's getting something more in terms of a bit of confidence as they throw in from the line out. Has went to the hands of Airley, and now breaking off is North, who's just been asked to run acute into the heart of the Melrose defence, and linking up there is Reese, and then Airley, who gathered at the line out, has found himself in acres of space and just strides towards the line, and then recycled as Rudy Sace then tucks the ball under that right arm and powers forward, almost as a second bite of it as Frame has been recycled. He's been wrapped up there by Lachlan Gaddy, and it's great defensive work from the number 8, because he has somehow, out of absolutely nothing, gathered the ball on the 5 metre line, and Melrose live to fight another day here. The power forward there from Will Ferry. A little pirouette out of the challenge there as Ayr players are just dripping off his ankles. Robinson carries, and Jake Fairley is there as well. But the referee signals that there's going to be a penalty advantage coming. So Melrose again do get to live to fight another day, as we stare directly into a full moon above the home of Ayr and the Ayrshire Bulls. And Struan Hutchison will be able to kick off field, and he's looking to put a little bit of tempo into this game, because Melrose are a team that have been playing well when they're ticking.
Yeah, and I think that's the frustrating thing, Dale. They've got plenty of rugby in the locker. They've had a doing up front this afternoon, and you know, there's only limited stuff that your talented backs can do when you're taking such a beating from 1 to 8.
Thrown to the line out. Lachlan Gaddy was the target. Now Rolly Brett is first receiver. Stuart Hutchison is hammered in midfield, but the referee coming back for that penalty advantage for encroaching at that line out. And Runciman has cut a really frustrated figure this afternoon. He's usually pretty calm and steady in that second row, but he's been gesturing with the referee on numerous occasions as Doug Crawford just looks to go quickly and feeds his brother Donald. He again has that loop and run, and out the back door he's able to find Harry Mikowski, who kicks downfield. He's been almost tripped up there by Tom Lanny.
It looked like a trip that to me, Dale.
The referee has let it go. Now having the conversation. And the conversation is not going to go the way of Melrose. Are coming together there, of the two wingers. My interpretation of that was perhaps slightly different. The ball had gone out in the full. It wasn't there to chase for Harry Mikowski, who's a replacement for Melrose. So Collier, try scorer for AYR, throws into the line out and finds his target. Has been driven sidewards by Melrose here, just on the 10-metre line inside the AYR half, the opposite side to the stand here at Millbrae. But the penalty is going to go to AYR, and they get another chance to kick downfield. It's actually going to go to Melrose, sorry, and they've gone quickly. And Lachlan Gaddy looks to try and link up with Elliot Ruthven, who was in behind, but the referee is going to bring that back because he was not happy with the position that was taken from.
When they've brought the jumper down, they've done it and put him behind to tackle.
Our lifters are in front.
Yeah.
Cameron Rees, who's not had to have a lot of dialogue with the referee this afternoon, just had a conversation there about that penalty decision at the line out, and AYR kicked their way downfield.
Yeah, he's not had too much to do with the referee. Rees and Melrose just having a wee bit of a, probably as much of a purple patch as they've had in this second half. They've encroached pretty deep into AYR territory, looking to finish with a flourish.
Gaddy off the top to Doug Crawford, who makes good headway and then finds Will Ferry, who charges through one challenge, but they've done well to just wrap arms round them as Hutchison then finds Donald Crawford, who takes a couple of players to bring him down. North is all over this ball. There's a penalty advantage coming for Melrose. Doug Crawford takes it quickly. He looks to go. He looks to then feed one of the replacements there on for Melrose, who's Robbie Robinson. And almost gets over the line, but the referee is going to bring that back. The shrill of the whistle as the AYR players have to depart the scene.
Captain, please.
And Lee Fish is going to have a conversation with the captain. Time is going to be off. He's going to ask Cameron Rees in for a chat.
12, high, 18, never onside.
12 high. Signalling there, Angus North was high in the challenge. 18, Morgan Leatherbarrow, never onside in the words of the referee. A couple of infringements coming there with AYR trying to scramble back and defend. It means there's a penalty coming for Melrose. 5 metres shy of the line. Will Ferry towers over the ball, left-footed tap to take it quickly. He just runs into a whole cluster of pink and black and does eventually able to squeeze his way over the line. He does immensely well to breach that defence, which has been very impressive in this second half. Only been breached once by Gaddy, the quick conversion attempt as well, taken by Hutchison. So Melrose do get the score, and it's now 62 points to 34 in AYR's favour.
Say again?
Yeah, a bit like Stafford in the first half. Daly almost had no right to score that try. It was good strength by the big man, and yeah, just that little bit of fight being shown by Melrose at the end.
Hutchison with the quick restart, the quick conversion attempt, sorry, to add the 2 points to Will Ferry's try. And AYR taking a casual Sunday stroll towards the halfway line, knowing that there's not a lot of time left in this game. They'll want to avoid any sort of injury or innocuous accident to any of their squad, so taking all the time in the world, kicking it downfield now from the restart. Scott Watson kicks it towards the 22 metre line. Elliot Ruthven haunched over and powering through the challenge. His shoulders slumped, but with great endeavour as Gaddy links up and finds Hutchison, but Hutchison has just fed the ball into the hands of Scott Watson. And he might have missed 2 conversions, but he certainly wasn't missing that pass. And it's a great interception there from AYR. He took play back underway with a restart, and then lurking out in the fringes, just picks the ball off and goes into between the posts.
Yeah, you could see that coming. He read it brilliantly, and he's absolutely sauntered in under the posts, and yeah, it was served up to him on a silver platter, in all honesty.
It was a brilliantly read bit of play, but the pressure, the defensive pressure from AYR, just forcing that decision to be made from Hutchison when there was not a lot on. They're trying to use that ball in behind, and I think that potentially will be our last passage of play, but the conversion still to come from the last try scorer, Scott Watson, and what a game he has had this afternoon. He's been involved in a lot of the build-up play for AYR, and he scores the last try, the last conversion, and it is a great points tally for the fullback for AYR, and it is a great day at the office for the Millbrae men, because they have swept aside the challenge from a familiar foe from the green yards, and AYR can go into the sheds with a handsome victory, and it is 69 points to 34 on the illuminated scoreboard in the corner, and that is a sight to savour if you're an AYR fan. You know, seldom have we seen such a high scoring encounter between these two sides, but in National 1 Rugby, the answer to it is sometimes the quality of what we've seen before, but AYR certainly have demonstrated they've got a lot of quality in their side.
Oh, definitely. I mean, to rack up 69 points against anybody, but, you know, against Melrose, full credit to them. They've been absolutely, you know, there might be an argument to say that they won't be particularly happy, the coaching staff, at conceding the number of points that they have, but they've been absolutely sensational for me this afternoon, Dale. They are an absolute class apart from any other team in this division, and they are on an absolute cakewalk to the Premiership.
On and off the pitch, you would argue as well. They're head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in this division, and you would imagine, yes, I agree with your sentiment there, that both coaching staff will not be happy with the amount of points that they conceded, but it was pretty much a battle of outpunch your opponent this afternoon. And the victory itself was built on forward pressure and that platform that they were able to provide for the backs, because there's been a few tries in the backs, there's 4 tries for the backs, but most of them coming in the cluster of the forwards, but they won it up front, which laid that platform for the rest of the team.
Oh, absolutely. If we're going to be candidly honest, from 1 to 8, that was a man against boys job, and some of the bench that came on as well. Up front's a problem for Melrose at the moment. They don't have the personnel in the forwards to win enough ball for the dangerous backs that they have, and just a gulf in class between these two teams.
Well, we were treated to a frenetic game of rugby, but it was certainly entertaining here at Millbrae in National 1. And the end result is the fact that AYR are continuing to swagger their way towards the Premiership, to dine at the top table of Scottish Club Rugby yet again, because a familiar foe has been swept aside with relative ease here at Millbrae, and it finishes here in National 1 live on Rugby Radio. It's AYR 69, Melrose 34.
And it's broken the record from earlier on. The 100 points has been broken. 103 we've had today here at Millbrae. Some of them even matched the shirts that they were wearing, but not all, I have to say. But what about elsewhere? Well, Heriots Blues 21, Curry 29 full-time at Golden Acre. That was a 2 o'clock kick-off today. Still waiting on the result between Hawick and Enbrackies. The last we heard, it was Hawick 26, Enbrackies 16. Hawick getting their try bonus. And it's ended at Stony Hill. Musselburgh have retained the Bill McLaren Shield for a second time, but Jed Forest have got a point. They've got 5 tries this afternoon, but it has ended Musselburgh 51, Jed Forest 27, and well done to Musselburgh, who move up the table once again. Selkirk 17, Mar 50 is a final score in the Premiership. We'll be getting reports from Hugh Brown and also Sam Matthews on those 2 games as soon as possible. And the latest we have at Mireside is Watsonians 37, Dundee 27, both getting try bonuses today. International 2, Falkirk 52, Stewart's Melville 10, Gordonians 12, Newton Stewart 25. That is another win for Newton Stewart. That's I think 8 plus a draw on the bounce at the moment, so they're certainly putting up a fight at the top of Division 2. Kirkcaldy 50, Berwick 31 was a final score there after Berwick were leading 26 points to 5 at Beveridge Park as well. So they'll be bitterly disappointed about that. It's ended at the Guides. Peebles 46, Aberdeen Grammar 13. So Aberdeen Grammar not getting any points out of that one, which means Berwick at least go a further 1 point above them in the table. Full times in National 4. Don't forget there was no rugby in National 3 today. It was their rest day. Strathmore 31, Perthshire 13 is a full-time score in National 4, and Whitecraigs 46, Dunfermline 37, a big high-scoring game in that one at Whitecraigs in National 4. Whitecraigs in third place before today, but Strathmore winning as well, so we'll probably see Strathmore retaining their second position. Full times in a couple of East League matches here. East League 1, it was Langham 15, Haddington 10, a big result for Langham. Haddington, of course, right up there in the top 2 at the moment. Duns 3, Dunbar 60 in East League 2, and East League 2 also Hoytlandine 13, Christophan 15 was a final result there. Well, I think coming up to join us at the back of the stand now is Cameron Rees from AYR, and he's going to be talking to Robin Purdie. Remember the score here, 69-34. What a scoreline for AYR against Melrose.
Well, Cameron, congratulations first of all. Big win against a team that have become almost modern rivals over the last 15-20 years. They started strongly. Were you surprised by the intensity that they hit you with in the opening sort of 10 minutes?
No, absolutely not. Every time that Melrose come here or we go down there, we know it's a hard physical game. After we got our sort of foot back in the game, then just went through our big boys up front, which we've done all season, and went back to what sort of our bread and butter rugby, which is taking it up, giving the backs a good platform to go from. And then just keep rolling from there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you didn't panic. 12-0 down, I think it was. Was it literally just a case of let's get our hands on the ball and show what we're all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got the boys around me. Got Pete McCallum, ex-captain of the club. Got Danny McCluskey, who's got however many years' experience as well. Got Joe Stafford, who's putting in some unreal performances. And these boys they can take the onus off me a bit if I need to speak to the ref. If the ref's having to go through me, they can lead the team. So we've got leaders all over the park, which is what we want. It's really what we want to build on.
And as I mentioned, a sort of a really big rivalry, if you like, a justifiable rivalry has developed between these two clubs over the last 15-20 years. But so with that in mind, were you almost surprised at just how easy it turned out to be in the end?
No, it wasn't easy. It wasn't really easy. We fronted up and played really well, stuck to our systems, and then when we saw the opportunities, we took them. We've had a few performances this year where we've just had to run over the top of teams because our system isn't working, but we know if we stick to our system, it'll pay dividends, and that's what happened today.
And you actually took the words out of my mouth a minute or so ago when you mentioned Joe Stafford. He was absolutely immense this afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got someone like that in your team, if it all breaks down, you look down, you see Joe Stafford about to run down someone's throats, so you move out the way and just support him.
And Watsonians away next week then, 3 home games here at what is absolutely a fortress. Has there been any talk yet of becoming the Invincibles?
No, nothing. We just part of this game. Good performance, we'll celebrate it inside and then on to next week.
Well, congratulations, and we wish you well next week.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Cameron.
There we are. That is Cameron Rees from AYR, the AYR captain, victorious today, 69 points to 34. 103 points at Millbrae today, beating the record set at Philip Hawke recently. We're going to try and get some Melrose reaction very, very shortly. But let's go to, where shall we go? We'll go to Mansfield Park. Alan Lorimer, full-time Hoyk against Edinburgh Accies.
Hoyk led 21-10 at the break with tries from Andrew Mitchell, Jay Linton and Charlie Welsh. To a try for Accies by Callum Ram, converted by Ben Appleson, who also kicked a penalty. Then the second half, Appleson kicked an early penalty. Andrew Mitchell ran through for his second try, and as the game kind of tailed off with Hoyk having the bonus point in the bag, Appleson was the last to contribute points with his third penalty kick. So final score from Mansfield Park, Hoyk 26, Edinburgh Accies 16.
Alan Lorimer at Mansfield Park this afternoon, so Hoyk stay top of the table. Robin Purdie has got a Melrose guest with him.
And that guest is Angus Runciman, Captain Melrose. Angus, commiserations first of all. This is not an easy place to come and get a result. However, you guys made a really strong start. It looked like the tactic was to play with a lot of width.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's maybe been our downfall, last week, taking early lead, and then I don't know whether we maybe get ahead of ourselves a wee bit, but yeah, the boys played really well in the first 10-15 minutes, but as I say, we just need to build upon that for the rest of the game as well.
And AYR, you went 12-0 up pretty quickly, I guess, similar to what you did last week, and then AYR hit back. Was there almost a sense of demons creeping in from last week, similar type scenario?
Very possibly, to be fair. As I say, it's always a really difficult place to come up and play. We've never had an easy game up here, and I don't think it ever will be. But as I say, certainly this week's training, we acted upon what happened last week, and we definitely worked towards trying not to let that happen again. As I say, I think we maybe got ahead of ourselves just a wee bit, but just a wee bit more maturity, I think, throughout the team would maybe help that. As I say, missing Bruce Colvin this week, which was a big miss for the boys.
Yeah, and when you were 12-0 up, you had a penalty in a place that looked like you could have put it down the touchline and went into the corner and gone for the drive, but a quick penalty was taken, and sort of 3-4 minutes later AYR were scoring at the other end. Is that an experience thing? Is it a panic thing?
Look, I think it was a tactic that we were kind of looking to play. We like a fast, quick game, and as I say, we were wanting to try and kind of use that to our advantage. As I say, mistakes happen, and obviously we coughed the ball up sadly, and it cost us, and that's just exactly what AYR can do when they get in a dangerous position.
And another a fairly heavy defeat, if we're being honest. So you've got Gala, your old rivals at Netherdale next week. How do you regroup as a team prior to that?
We just need to get heads together. Tomorrow, take a good opportunity to get the bodies recovered. Monday we'll do a bit of analysis personally, and then Tuesday, Thursday get together, review this game. As I say, there's a handful of positives to take. Obviously, first 10-15 minutes, the rest of the game I think there'll be plenty to learn from, but at the end of the day it comes down to an attitude thing, determination, and a big part of it, as I say, we really need to get aggression sorted out on that as well. But it's a Gala Melrose game at the end of the day, so you can't ask for much more. Yeah,
and you've kind of almost taken the words out of my mouth there, Angus. I was going to just finish by sort of saying, you've played in some hugely successful Melrose vintages over the years, but this season you've played 12, won 6, lost 6. Where is the club at the moment, and where do they strive to go from here?
I think the club's in a great position, to be perfectly honest. As I say, you take that team there, we've got a massive amount of homegrown players. As I say, are maybe a slight disadvantage, but then again, an advantage is the fact that we've got a really young team as well. Myself being one of the older players in the group, but last week we finished with 3 front row, both all 19-year-old. So as I say, we do miss a wee bit of experience. Granted, what's happened. Melrose was in a great, successfully winning place, but as I say, I think moving forward, the club's in a good position, and as I say, I'd like to think that we should, years from now, is just go from strength to strength if we can keep a hold of those guys. We've got some really good young talented players.
Well, Angus, thanks for fronting up. All the best for next week's tussle at Netherdale.
Perfect, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Give you the Premiership table now. Hoyk at the top with 56 points. Mar second with 52. Third it's Currie with 47. In fourth place Musselburgh with 39. They move above Edinburgh Accies, who lost today. Edinburgh Accies on 36 points. Then it's Herrick's Blues on 34. Kelso have 30. Selkirk 25. 22 for Glasgow Hawks, and Jed Forest on 4 points, getting a try bonus at least today, in 10th place. And National 1, AYR at the top, 58 points. Highland second, 37, 21 points adrift now. Third is Glasgow Accies, 34. Melrose stay fourth on 34 points as well. Quatzonians will actually go fifth on 33, and Gala in sixth, also on 33. 7th place GHA with 30. 8th it's Biggar, 22. 9th Dundee on 18, and 10th GHK with 13. Let's go to Sam Matthews at Philiphaugh now. The final result between Selkirk and Mar.
Full time at Philiphaugh, and the score is Selkirk 17, Mar 50. Mar put on a masterclass threat across the pitch, and they always look like scoring, and that was duly backed up with that scoreline suggests. Connor Bickerstaff and his team walking away with 8 tries in total, with 2 coming from David Andrew, the second row, and they were collector's pieces as well. Nothing from 5 yards out. A good play all round by the away side today. They outscored their first half total in the first 10 minutes of the second half, and from then that side never looked back. Selkirk were just shy of getting their try bonus point as they only got 3 tries this afternoon, 2 through winger Josh Welsh and his counterpart on the other side, Finlay Whelans, getting one late into the second half. Mar will take real momentum into next week as they go away from home to Poynter Park back in the Borders to face a tough Kelso outfit. Meanwhile, the home side today, Selkirk, they have a trip up to Musselburgh next week and they are in fine form, so Sesh Henderson and his men will have to do a lot of soul searching this week and find some answers. But as for today, the final score was Selkirk 17, Mar 50.
Sam Matthews at Philiphaugh, and we hope to hear from Hugh Brown very, very shortly. He was at Stony Hill, Musselburgh, beating Jed Forrest there, but Jed Forrest getting 5 tries, so an extra point for them. In National 2, the table as we have it in front of us at the moment, Falkirk topped the table with 47 points, Peebles second, 46. Lastway didn't play today, but of course they did have that game in hand, so they're on 43. Then in 4th, it's 41 for Newton Stewart. 5th, Gordonians 35. In 6th place, a huge drop to Stirling County. Obviously their game wasn't being played today at 21 for them. 7th place Kirkcaldy 20. 8th it's Stewmel 17. 9th Berwick 14. They're 4 points now ahead of Aberdeen Grammar at the bottom with 10 points.
This is Rugby Radio.
Rugby Radio.
To see the fantastic range of learning opportunities to study right here in the Borders, visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. You don't have to go far to go far. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
When the weather's dreich and a storm's a brewing, you need a strong, windproof, quality umbrella delivered with good old-fashioned customer service and at an affordable price. Up here in Umbrella Heaven, we say you tackle the ball, we'll tackle the weather. UmbrellaHeaven.com for when the heavens open.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
I think we can go to Stony Hill now and join Hugh Brown.
Musselburgh exterminated Jed Forrest, running in 8 tries in this Premiership game. To be fair to Jed, they did score 5 and go home with a losing bonus point. But the Bill McLaren Shield stays firmly here at Stony Hill. Full-time score, Musselburgh 51, Jed Forrest 27.
Thank you to Hugh Brown and to Sam Matthews and Alan Lorimer out in the field today. Let's have a quick look at what's happening on next week, because obviously it's a big week of rugby. The Premiership, Currie against Hawick. That's going to be our commentary match at 2 o'clock, and then we're going to have second half commentary of Gala against Melrose, which kicks off at 3 o'clock. But in the Premiership, you've got Currie Hawick, Edinburgh Accies against Glasgow Hawks, Jed Forrest against Heriots Blues, Kelso against Mar, which should be a real tussle, and Musselburgh against Selkirk. In National 1, it's going to be Dundee against GHA, Gala against Melrose, Glasgow Accies against GHK, Highland against Biggar, and Watsonians will be taking on AYR. And that's just about it for tonight. Our closing headlines. In the Premiership, there were wins for Hawick, Currie, Musselburgh and Mar. The game between Glasgow Hawks and Kelso was wiped out. In National 1, victories went to AYR and Watsonians. Everything else was postponed. On National 2, wins for Falkirk, Newton Stewart, Kirkcaldy and Peebles. No National 3 games, but in National 4, victories went to Strathmore and White Craigs, and that was just about it for live rugby today, as the frost bit today. Well, don't forget our weekly Scottish Club Rugby podcast, which goes live every Thursday, and our 13th edition, it's our best one yet, by the way, is available wherever you get your podcast from right now with Dale Clancy and myself. We'll be back next Saturday at 1:30, and we'll be coming to you live from Netherdale, as I say, taking in Gala versus Melrose in National 1, and also full commentary of Curry against Hawick from Millennium Park. That's here on Rugby Radio between 1:30 and 5. Hope you can join us then, but from the team, good night.